Live. I just got to go to my YouTube and add a thumbnail here and some tags because I don't know how to do that before going public. So bear with me here. Switch account. Stonemason 83. Upload thumbnail. Should just be a couple of minutes here, and then I'll get going on something. I want to check out the TWAB. I have not read the TWAB yet. I just saw something scrolling through my social media about an arc aspect, I think for Titan or something like that. That's literally all I know. Desktop. Boom. Save that. Hopefully that doesn't mess with the live stream. Oh, it's acting like something froze. Hopefully the audio works. Well, since I don't see anybody in chat, if somebody's in chat, can you just let me know if my mic is working or not? Copy that. Okay. Yes, I speak the English. The game is called Destiny 2 from 2017. Nearly 10 years ago. All that said, this being an 8-year-old game, this is a damn fine looking game if I do say so myself. Okay. Okay, I should have a thumbnail. I should have hashtags. I should have stuff. Altered content. No, this is not AI. This is me playing against the AI. Alright, I'm gonna just check my audio real quick. Check, check. Hello, hello. Check, check. Okay, there we go. All right. So I do want to check the TWAB real quick. I guess I'll read it out loud, or at least some highlights, since I'm extremely curious about a potentially new aspect. And then I'm going to try to step my foot back into Vesper's Host. I haven't really stepped foot in there over the past, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks or something like that. Geez, when did it come out? October? I feel like it came out in October. It seems like it was yesterday, but at the same point, it feels like it was so long ago. I've played the crap out of that dungeon for like a few weeks. I want to say like 4 or 5 weeks. I at least did it on every character every week. And then I even did like the Puppeteer checkpoint multiple times. And then I put in some solo attempts on Puppeteer on my Hunter. And I started with this whole mentality of wanting to solo flawless it on Hunter, since it's been the last dungeon I solo flawlessed with Hunter was Spire the Watcher, right? So I'm kind of looking for like an emblem update to my Hunter. I did Warlords on my Titan. I did Ghosts of the Deep on my Warlock. I did Duality on my Titan as well. But I might just end up... Oh, don't look at that. Don't look at that armor. I don't play PvP. It's not true. Don't believe what I say. But yeah, I definitely feel like I can just power through it with my Titan so much easier. The only thing is I'm stubborn, and I don't want to resort to using Lorelei Splendor and sitting in a glitch spot against the Puppeteer. I won't be happy with myself. I won't be proud of myself if I do that, unless I'm like really struggling to do it. But I gotta put in some fair attempts first, and I do feel like I'm pretty decent with the whole Thunder Crash, Anarchy, Lost Signal, potentially getting off 3T crashes per damage phase. But like, I find for me to do it well on Titan, I really have to be playing on my Titan for a while, like just getting into the rhythm of consecration spam, making sure that my slides and my slam downs and everything is kind of muscle memory. Like I've had a lot of practice on it recently, because if I miss consecration, like as I'm like jumping from platform to platform to smash the clones, then I could go flying off the map, right? Or I can mistime it and land into one of the electrocution pools or whatever, the lightning coming down, and die that way. So there's some risks there to doing it on Titan, but I feel like the risks are just as great running around at the back of the map with a grenade launcher and potentially blowing myself up with a Hunter. Because the strategy I use on my Hunter is Silence and Squall, Foe Tracer, Star Eaters. I don't know. I think I'm just going to try and do it on my Titan, because there's not even 2 weeks left to the season, and if I want to maintain Paragon... Do I want to maintain Paragon? I think I do. So, yeah, that's why I'm going to go back into I haven't been playing the game a ton lately. So, this gives me a good excuse. Like, it's just a solid challenge that I can go in, and it's going to give me something to do. I can play the game. Where the hell is the dang title for this dungeon? Vesper's Host. Okay. So I obviously have a lot to do to get Unleashed. I don't really care about Unleashed. I'd rather just have the darn solo flawless emblem, right? I think that's under Triumphs and Legacies. Yeah. I don't even remember what I was about to do. But yeah, I think I'm going to try and power through on my Titan. I mean, I could talk all I want about the Puppeteer, but I obviously got to get through the first encounter, the second encounter. So I got to put some builds together, so bear with me for... It's going to be a little bit. I want to check out the TWAB, and then I got to organize all my builds for my Titan going into this dungeon. I pretty much know the loadouts that I use. I think there's 3 or 4 different builds, so I'll probably pre-save 3-4 loadouts, get that ironed out, and then I'll start doing my attempts. In most synthos, probably not going to be doing that. Assassin Scars. It's probably going to be mostly... well, I was going to... In most Star Eaters, I'd rather just use Curus, T-Crash, and Hot Swap before damage phase, because you got all the time in the world to swap loadouts, and weapon surges don't really matter that much if you can pop off 3 Thunder Crashes and just spam Anarchy and Lost Signal. Like, the weapon damage is not... It's mostly about ability damage, right? If I can do 3 T-Crashes, that'll be enough. So Curus is going to help me get T-Crashes faster. Pre-damage phase versus Puppeteer, I think I use Inmost and Loopy, which is kind of like my PvP build. But I use Inmost Loopy for the clone, or for the nuke rooms, because there's no ads to kill to proc knockout. There's no orbs to pick up for recuperation. Basically, healing is at an all-time minimum down in the clone room, so if I use something like Loopy, then I can, with Inmost, I can spam my thruster dodge to heal as I'm taking damage from the dudes. So I got to do that. And then before I go down to the clone room, I could use Assassin Scars just to, like, be invincible, essentially. Raneiks, it's either going to be Inmost Star Eaters for Glacial Quake, or just Synthos, just base Synthos, because base Synthos will enhance Glacial Quake to similar damage output to Feast of Light ×6 on Spirit of Star Eaters. I'll probably go Inmost Star Eaters, though, because it's easy enough to build up Feast of Light, and then my neutral game benefits from Inmost. Right, so that'll probably be Raneiks, so that's 4 loadouts, or 3 minimum, and then, well, I guess because I was saying, like, going into the nuke room for Puppeteer, I could use Assassin Scars, but I can also use Assassin Scars basically everywhere else in the dungeon, even for the first encounter, but definitely for the traversals. So yeah, I gotta do some stuff on Dim. Just make sure I get all my weapons. But instead of blabbing on and on and on about that, and then not doing anything, I'm gonna go check out this TWAB right now, so you can hear me blab about that. Where's it at? Bungie. Probably gonna stay live here for a couple hours until it's dinner time, because it's almost 4 o'clock here on the East Coast. Again, anybody that's in chat, if the live stream is not sounding good, if you can't hear the game music, if you can't hear me, just let me know. I guess I can keep the music on.
Is going well. Love the vids.
Hey, Room Temp IQ, thank you very much. Sweet, thanks for letting me know. This week in Destiny, wow. 1/16/2025, topics for the week, dungeon race details, oh boy. Maybe I'll just go to the tower so it's not so boring to watch me on screen read a TWAB and you can't even see the TWAB. You can see a bunch of blueberries running around doing emotes speaking to Raoul. That sounds pretty exciting. Dungeon race details, heresy abilities update. Ooh, that sounds juicy. If this TWAB is too juicy, I might not even be able to have time to do the dungeon. Past is prologue event, Festival of the Armor winners, don't care. Game to give 2025, D2, blah 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 blah. Sundered Doctrine Dungeon Race. That's the name of the dungeon? Wow. I was not expecting to get a dungeon name drop here. Heresy is right around the corner, and with it comes the launch of a new dungeon on Friday, February 7th. Travel to Savathun's Throne World. I've got some plans on February 7th, so I will not be doing no day one shenanigans, unfortunately, but I'll probably peek in and out of Twitch and see who I can catch live streaming it, because I do thoroughly enjoy watching the racers on day one stuff.
Are you alive, Guardian? I was wondering.
Yeah, February 7th. Travel to Savathun's Throne World. Wait a second. So, okay, I've been wanting a Throne World dungeon for a long time, but mind you, Ghosts of the Deep pretty much fulfilled that hope that I had. Because, I mean, it was pretty much Throne World architecture, hive enemies. Infiltrate Rulk's pyramid ship in the new dungeon. Okay. So it's a pyramid dungeon. Interesting. Sundered Doctrine. To celebrate the launch, we're issuing a challenge to the top fire teams in the world with the Sundered Doctrine Dungeon Race. As we did with Vesper's host, Sundered Doctrine will have contest mode enabled for the first 48 hours. Providing the most difficult version of the dungeon for the race and any brave guardians who want the ultimate challenge. This time around, rather than a podium race, we'll be looking to crown the single team that rises to the top and finishes first. With that, we are leveling up the reward, creating something memorable and unique to honor the incredible accomplishment of the winning team. That's why for this race, each winning team member will receive the first ever Dungeon Race trophy. We'll get a glimpse at this new prize as we get closer to the new dungeon launch, so stay tuned. Now, let's take a look at some of the finer details for the Sundered Doctrine Dungeon Race. Details. Blah blah. You will need to be at 1995 power. Right. Okay. Entry requirements. Assemble a fire team of 3 players and start the Sundered Doctrine Dungeon Race in contest mode from the planet system map. Okay. Well, none of this really affects me, so if you're doing this day one stuff, go read the TWAB is all I gotta say. Completion criteria, contest mode details, follow the dungeon race. You can follow it on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, CB Gray, Evan F. The Zone team will be streaming. Okay, so they must be the Zone team. You get a fancy emblem if you watch for X amount of hours, it looks like. Pretty decent looking emblem for a... Wait a second, which emblem is this? Trigonic Amber emblem. It's actually pretty sweet looking. Now, is that for the dungeon, or is that for watching people play the dungeon? Viewers can... Okay, so that's for viewers. That's honestly the nicest viewer emblem I've seen, just for, like, watching people stream on Twitch. Like, I think you have to go and claim it on Bungie's website after, but... Heresy Abilities Update. How long is this TWAB? Holy crap, man. This is actually pretty long. So I apologize for anybody that came here expecting to be immediately seeing solo flawless dungeon attempts, or even solo attempts. I might leave out the flawless until I actually do the solo. And I only need the solo to get to maintain Paragon for Heresy. But yeah, ideally I would flawless it. And I will eventually. At least I'm telling myself that. But this TWAB is super large, so it's kind of sidetracking me here. I did put it in the title anyways. Bagel Sesame. I don't know, does this guy know? We have really good bagel sesames here. Sesame bagels, I should say. East Coast, North America. Kind of known for our bagels. Yeah, I'll take one. Bring it over. Alright, so... I'm going to be reading over the TWAB here. Heresy Abilities Update. Howdy, y'all. Abilities team here. Howdy, y'all. We have a mountain of new abilities. I wonder if we're going to be getting some new cowboy hats or something. We have a mountain of new abilities content. Oh, right, because it's Frontiers, right? So it's I wonder. Well, it says this is for Heresy, not for Frontiers. So I don't know what the howdy is all about, but I guess we'll find out. We have a mountain of new abilities content for episode Heresy. Today we're going to look at all the changes and additions in 3 broad sections. New arc verb, bolt charge. Bolt charge. Okay, that's interesting. So we're getting a new buff. I can't stand when they call them verbs. Like, how generic can we be here? It's a buff. You got buffs and debuffs like every other game. Like nobody calls them verbs. 3 new aspects. Okay, cool. Heresy ability balance pass. Alright, so nerfs, buffs, again, buffs. Maybe that's why they call them verbs, because buffs is too ambiguous. Are we talking about making something better, or are we talking about a status effect that you have in the game? Which buff is it? Let's start with the new arc keyword bolt charge, which is featured in some of our new arc aspects. Bolt charge. We've had time to sit with the arc subclass for some time now and wanted to address a systemic need they had with the reduced number of buffs the damage type has versus others. We wanted to use that space to add something that brought arc a powerful damage tool, which we felt was missing. However, bolt charge is a little different mechanically than our previous ones.
Remain vigilant,
Okay.
Guardian.
Yo, that guy looks dope. Armamentarium is pretty sweet, like stylistically. I don't have that helmet though. I think that came from before I picked up Destiny 2. So back to bolt charge. While you have 1 or more stacks. Wait, bolt charge is a positive stacking buff that you build up on yourself over time. Once you reach max charge, your next ability attack will unleash a devastating bolt of arc lightning. Okay.
Dig and dig.
Huh, interesting. Devastating. So when we think of jolt is like damage over time, area of effect, ticks of damage. It is an overload status debuff on an enemy, which reduces their damage output by, 25%. They get that little red halo above their head when they're overloaded. You can stun overload champions with Jolt. So, thinking of something different than that, bolt charge, they're describing it as a devastating bolt. So this is kind of like just a pure damage buff. Like, it almost sounds to me like they're trying to bring some of the potency of the damage potential from Transcendence over to our core subclasses, which is what they should be doing here, because Prismatic Titan is just stupid, and there's nothing that really compares as far as Consecration goes and Transcendence and all that spam. So while you have 1 or more stacks from any source, aspects, fragments, weapon perks, etc., dealing damage with any weapon increases your bolt charge stack count. Each time a stack is gained, you gain a chunk of melee energy. Dealing damage with any weapon increases your bolt charge stack. Okay. Each time any weapon. So you just deal damage with weapons and you get bolt charge stacks. Each time a stack is gained, you gain a chunk of melee energy. Okay, so it basically supercharges your melee. At 10 stacks, your bolt charge is ready, and any ability damage, arc or otherwise, summons a powerful arc bolt, dealing roughly the same amount of damage as a solar ignition. Oh, that's sick. That sounds freaking wicked. With a smaller area of effect, so not as much AoE as an ignition, but I mean, we got the AoE of Jolt already, right? So no point in like having 2 buffs do the same thing. Different from ignition though, bolt charge is tuned to have more consistent and predictable uptime. Okay, pretty cool. Yeah, because ignitions aren't really reliable unless you're using something where you get like a guaranteed ignition, like 1,000 Voices or Dragon's Breath, but otherwise, or Consecration. Otherwise, you need to, you kind of need to play with your solar subclass to build up your Scorch stacks, or use it wisely with your weapon choices and your abilities. If you know what the amount of Scorch stacks it takes to cause an ignition, you can do it pretty easily and consistently. But if you don't, and you just want to have a more casual build, then yeah, ignitions aren't proccing left and right necessarily. But so it sounds like Bolt Charge is going to be more user-friendly. Right, so more user-friendly to build crafters. Yeah. How's everybody doing? If you're watching, let me know in the comments. Similar to the addition of Frost Armor to Stasis with the release of the final shape, we have woven Bolt Charge into Arc and Prismatic suites to allow those subclasses to access this new keyword. Okay. I don't know how I feel about that, just reading it off the bat. Like, I don't feel like Prismatic needs anything else to add to its kit of damage potential. But let's keep reading. So the new arc aspect for Striker, Titan, and Stormcaller Warlock also features Bolt Charge, right? Well, I would frickin' hope so. What about Hunter? The new arc aspects for Striker, Titan, and Stormcaller. Well, okay. So what they're saying is Titan and Warlocks are going to have a super special aspect that features Bolt Charge, right? And so that also entails to me that Bolt Charge is going to be available to all Arc subclasses and Prismatic, like they're saying, through other means. So probably through weapon perks, through fragments, etc., stuff like that. Just listening and absorbing. All right, thank you. Thanks and welcome. Yeah, me too. This is my first time reading it. I was scrolling through social media, saw one thing about an aspect, an Arc, and Titan, and so I figured I had to go in there and read. And from the length of this TWAB, it's looking like it might take me a good while to get through it. So I'll try and read it slowly and reread the important stuff and skip over the nonsense. So where was I? Yeah. So Bolt Charge, right? So there's going to, just like any other special buffs and debuffs in the game, certain subclass and build crafters are going to have, their own unique aspects to really have enhanced access to that type of buff, and everybody else is going to have kind of a generic version of that buff as well available to them. So we've had fun designing and playing with Bolt Charge. Yeah, me too. I'm always excited. I'm excited for the new dungeon. Honestly, I'm excited. I was hoping that Prismatic was going to get nerfed. It probably will, judging from the length of the TWAB. They said there's going to be some, nerfs and buffs, etc., however they worded it. I'm just getting really bored of, like, having to... I mean, you don't have to play Consecration Titan all the time, but, I mean, if you just want to... It just trivializes the game. Like, if you're not using it, everybody else is using it, and then you're just playing catch-up with everybody else, so... Right, so Bungie says, we've had fun designing and playing with Bolt Charge. The loop of gaining a Bolt Charge stack, building it up through combat, and then receiving a big payoff ties deeply into the fantasy of Arc's momentum-based gameplay, as well as being deeply tied into the Arc ecosystem, which has opened new build crafting options consistent with the other damage types. We can't wait to see the new builds and combos players cook up with Bolt Charge, and as always, we will be monitoring feedback and will adjust accordingly, right? So if it's just as powerful as Consecration Titan with Synthos, then they're not going to do anything, basically. Okay, let's move on to the new subclass aspects. Oh, okay. Man, this is juicy. On the Prowl. This is the name of one of the new aspects. Not necessarily Bolt Charge related. On the Prowl for Night Stalkers. Okay, so Void Hunter, my favorite type of hunter, is getting this new aspect. On the Prowl is a new void aspect for hunters that embodies the fantasy of hunting down prey and being rewarded for the kill. Okay, sounds like Night Stalker to me. Entering invisibility marks a nearby enemy as a priority target for you and your team, so like True Sight. Note, this does not enable players to see marked targets through walls in the Crucible. For you and your team. Okay, so this is team-based. Defeating priority targets creates a weakening cloud of smoke that makes you and allies invisible when passing through it. That's pretty cool. That could even be cool just for solo play. I mean, not that Night Stalker needs any extra help to go invisible, in all honesty, whether you're on Gerfalcon's Hauberk with Stylish Executioner or Combination Blow on Prismatic with Stylish Executioner, or if you're just using Vanishing Step and Trapper's Ambush with something like Omnioculus or Graviton. Yeah, it's definitely not like we need an aspect to help us there. When priority targets are defeated, you and nearby allies gain increased weapon reload speed and stability for a short duration, and granted grenade, melee, and class ability energy. Okay. So essentially in PvE, you can have these buffs available to you frequently, I guess, because you're always going to be marking enemies and killing them. But I guess in something like Crucible, it's going to be more situational and less frequent, but will be more beneficial to your team. Night Stalker has many ways to go invisible to kick off on the Prowl, including a Vanishing Step, Stylish Executioner, Spectral Blades, Rat King. Pick your favorite. When that happens, a nearby non-boss target will be highlighted for you and your fire team. Once the highlighted target has been defeated by you or anyone in your fire team, the entire fire team is granted a stack of Successful Hunt buff that grants weapon reload speed and stability. Right, these are all kind of PvP things. Not that I don't enjoy fast reload speed and stuff like that. But it definitely sounds more PvP related. But you do get a small chunk. It says small chunk, so I wonder what's small. Is that like inmost light small chunk of ability? How much? Is it like regen or is it chunks specifically? I guess it is chunks since they use the word chunk. Successful Hunt can also stack up to 3 times. Okay. Also, when a highlighted target is defeated, a weakening cloud of smoke. Yes, you already said that. They passes through it invisible, blah, 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 thus meeting the condition for activating on the Prowl again. So you can keep that on the Prowl buff uptime going by consistently going through your own clouds, and you can stack it up to 3 times. Wait, so there's going to be Successful Hunt. Okay, Successful Hunt sounds like that's going to be the name of the buff that you can stack up to 3 times. On the Prowl is the name of the aspect itself. So maybe they're just referring to those two as one and the same. What we envisioned for this aspect was to embody what it means to be a Void Hunter. To us, it was important to reflect the fantasy of Bounty Hunter. On the Prowl works well with the entire Night Stalker kit and allows your allies in on the fun for a short time. Even Warlocks and Titans can feel what it's like to be a Bounty Hunter. Wait, didn't we ship a Bounty Hunter gun too? Curious. What do you mean? For a short time, even Warlocks... Okay, so I don't know. The way I'm reading that is they're going to put a seasonal artifact in, or an episodic artifact mod, where all subclasses can get access to this buff, this Successful Hunt buff. I don't know. Okay, next aspect, Storm's Keep. Honestly, I'm not that excited about that Prowler one. Like, unless we can equip 3 aspects on the core subclasses, which I think we should be able to, frankly, I think we should be able to have like up to 7 or 8 fragments and 2 to 3 aspects on the core subclasses to balance it with Prismatic and, you know, the lack of having Transcendence. Like, what Prismatic gets 2 whole supers, basically. They get their Transcendent super and they get their super, right? There's nothing really that compares to that on the core kits. Like, I feel like they need to give us more access to... And plus, even on Prismatic, you get you can have like 5-6 fragments, right? So I'd say just allow us to slot more aspects and fragments on the core subclasses. But anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. So the next aspect here is called Storm's Keep. This one sounds pretty interesting. But yeah, I was going to say the On the Prowl doesn't sound overly interesting to me, because like I said, unless we can equip a third aspect, like Night Stalker is just super homogenous, very like well balanced, powerful subclass kit already. So it's going to take a lot of convincing for me to play on Void Hunter using this aspect when I already know how effective Stylish Executioner and Vanishing Step is on Gerfalcons, or Vanishing Step and Trapper's Ambush is on Omnioculus or Graviton. Like, it's going to take a lot to convince me to change that up. So on to the next aspect now. For Titan, it sounds like Storm's Keep Strikers, right? So for Arc Titan, Storm's Keep is a new class ability focused aspect for Arc Titans that utilizes Bolt Charge to its fullest potential. Okay, so Titan's going to be the king of Bolt Charge, hopefully. Storm's Keep. Cast your class ability to grant a moderate number of Bolt Charge stacks to you and nearby allies. Okay, that's pretty cool. So share the wealth. While behind your barricade, you and your allies gain stacks of Bolt Charge over time, and any weapon damage will discharge max stacks of Bolt Charge. Any weapon damage will discharge max stacks of Bolt Charge. So, okay, so the way I was reading it before was Bolt Charge is going to power your melee up, essentially. It's going to enhance your melee, right? But with Titan using Bolt Charge with the Storm's Keep aspect, not only will you be able to enhance your melee like you can, I guess, universally with this Bolt Charge buff and its stacks, but you're also going to be able to apply it to your weapons. So like Titans is going to have like a volatile rounds, but an arc version for any weapons. It doesn't even say arc weapons. It just says any weapon damage will discharge max stacks of Bolt Charge, right? So you're behind your barricade, right? So probably your rally barricade, right? So this does kind of encourage you to give up thruster, otherwise you're not really going to be utilizing the fullest of this aspect. So you use your rally barricade, when you cast your rally barricade, you and your allies get stacks of Bolt Charge immediately and over time, and then your weapons start shooting Bolt Charge shots, essentially. That's crazy. That sounds super cool. And I guess it's going to be a lot more potent on your weapon than something like Jolting Feedback, right? Because they're describing Bolt Charge as like a lot of burst damage as opposed to area of effect damage over time. Okay, hold on. I gotta take a sip of my tea here.
Speak to me.
And I gotta blow my nose. I'll be right back. My allergies have been horrible. Let me know what you think in the comments if you're tuning in. How this stuff sounds. I don't know. Like, it sounds interesting to me. But I'll be right back. Well, I forgot to mute, but sorry if I traumatized anybody with the light sound of me blowing my nose in the background. Okay, so back to Storm's Keep. Anybody that's just joining in, I'm reading the TWAB. It's a long one, sorry. I don't even know if I'm going to actually get to any gameplay. But new aspects, new abilities, nerfs, buffs, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah, so Titans are going to be getting this bolt charge thing on their weapons. We wanted to do a few things with this aspect for strikers. We wanted to create an opportunity for Barricade to be used offensively, and we wanted to capitalize on what bolt charge can provide. Okay, I really like this idea. This is super cool because barricades are like plain and simple boring unless you're on what is it, offensive bulwark? Oh, no, bastion on sentinel, giving yourself overshields, or what, Drenger's Lash on Prismatic or on Berserker. Right, those are really the only interesting barricades. Lorelei Splendor gives you an interesting barricade. But yeah, so this now Arc Titans are going to have an interesting barricade as well with the bolt charge aspect, right? And I like what they're doing. I was going to say I like what they're doing with the aspects, or with the barricades. Like they made them, how they made it so that it aggroes enemies, right? So, like I find myself now when I play Strand Titan, I use my towering barricade like a lot more frequently. Like I used to hardly ever use it because you don't need to. But yeah, since it aggroes enemies now, I would spam it as often as I could, because why not? Okay, so they say, we envision strikers pushing forward on the battlefield and using their class abilities to cement themselves as the tip of the spear in any fire team. Okay, they even show some footage here. Whoa. Damn, I kind of feel like I wish I just started this live stream on my PC so I could just show you. But anyways, I mean, yeah, there's no gameplay here, so feel free to just, if you're on YouTube Premium, you can just shut your screen off and then listen. Okay, well anyways, they show a little clip here. So this guy's, okay, he just cast his barricade, and it's kind of like a, what's the frost armor one on Icefall Mantle, right? It's kind of that same animation when you cast your barricade with this this new aspect, Storm's Keep, right? The Titan in this video casts his rally barricade with this special animation. Him and his allies now have this buff on the left side. Well, the Titan has the buff, bolt charge times 6 times 8 times 9, ready, right? And then he shot it out. So it went up to 10 stacks just in a couple seconds worth of time while standing behind the barricade. Oh yeah, that's cool. Whoa, how much damage did that actually do? Okay, so as soon as he got to 10 stacks, it was like a lightning strike that came out of the gun and damaged the brig, because he was shooting the brig at the first encounter of Vesper's host. Okay, so that's pretty awesome. Okay, casting thruster barricade will give you and nearby allies a good chunk of bolt charge stacks, blah 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 blah. I feel like I'm just rereading the same stuff over and over again, and I'm not. If you opt for the barricade version, standing behind the barricade will grant additional bolt charge stacks over time. Once you're at full stacks, any weapon damage you deal while standing behind your barricade will also cash in bolt charge, calling down a lightning bolt at your target's location. Standard bolt charge. It's kind of like a Thunderlord lightning strike, but it seems stronger and it's like more animated. So it's like it looked pretty satisfying to see it happen once you get that bolt charge discharge. Bungie didn't say that. I just coined that phrase right there. You heard it here first. Standard bolt charge allows you to call down lightning by dealing ability damage, but with Storm's Keep, you can call down lightning just by shooting enemies while behind your barricade. This is especially potent with Rally Barricade, as it allows multiple bolts from you and your allies and provides solid boss damage. Okay, so it's interesting the way they describe this as dealing ability damage, because like I said, the way we're reading it before is bolt charge works to charge up your melee. So standard bolt charge allows you to call down lightning by dealing ability damage. Call down lightning by dealing ability damage. Oh, standard. Okay, yeah, it's dumb. I'm just not reading. Yes, that's like we said already. Standard bolt charge does that to your melee, right? But yeah, this aspect is gonna give it to your guns, to any guns for Titan. And I don't know if I don't think it gives it to your allies, but when you cast your barricade, you're going to give your allies that are nearby stacks of bolt charge, right? And they can come behind your barricade and I guess build up their bolt charge stacks just like you. But I don't think they're going to be able to shoot it out of their weapons like you will. At least they haven't specified that. You're an aspect. How about that? I'm just kidding. I love you. My wife's always leaving me these sick comments. You call down lightning just by shooting enemies. This is especially potent with Rally Barricade as it allows multiple bolts from you and your allies and provides solid boss damage. We're excited to see how players build craft around Bolt Charge and Storm's Keep to maximize damage and add to Striker's legacy as the hit fast, hit hard subclass. So the way I see this being used, obviously it sounds like it's going to be pretty good in stuff like end-game content, like GMs, anything where you got to post up and use your barricade often. Could it be viable in a dungeon or raid versus a boss? Potentially. Like we saw how the rocket barricade, I can't even remember the name of that dang thing. Since I'm right here next to Raoul, I can look. This thing, hazardous propulsion, right? So you build up your stacks of whatever it is to get rockets. I hardly ever use it. I actually did make a build for it. I just never made a build video on it, and I never really played it very much. But it was used on like the Witness. Like a lot of Titan mains were using it against the Witness. It's free damage, and does it give Wolfpack rounds? I can't remember. I think it just gives everybody like extra rocket damage. 35%, yeah, if my memory serves me right. You get a non-stackable damage buff of 35% to your rocket-based weapons, rocket sidearms, rocket launchers, weapons with the nanotech munitions, or the nanotech tracer rockets origin perk, right, from Neomuna. Those all get buffed rocket damage, but it doesn't stack with Radiant. So essentially it's just mainly a 10% buff, because otherwise you would just be using Radiant anyways if you're damaging a boss with weapons. So yeah, I mean, we saw that being viable for bosses a little bit here and there, but nothing crazy. So yeah, I don't know, like this but keep in mind, this isn't an exotic, this is an aspect, which an aspect is essentially an exotic. And what would you replace it with, like on Striker? Because you would have to give up Knockout or Touch of Thunder, right? And Touch of Thunder is still really good. Like, if you want the best damage grenades in the game, you're still gonna use Touch of Thunder if you're on Striker, anyways, with pulse grenades. So I don't know. It's gonna be. I would imagine you would go Knockout and Bolt Charge, right? Because you would typically use Bolt Charge. Well, you could use Bolt Charge the standard way with your melee, right? So Knockout would complement that well by giving you healing back on those Bolt Charge kills. Yeah. So I don't see Knockout going anywhere. I would see, like, if you're gonna play with this new Bolt Charge buff and the new aspect on Titan, you're gonna give up the good grenades, right? And you're just gonna build purely into Bolt Charge, kind of, because it's not just gonna be on your melee, it's gonna be on your weapons. So it's not like you're really giving up a ranged ability damage option, because you're gonna have this freaking lightning strike coming out of your weapons that's essentially gonna do like burst damage to the magnitude of a grenade anyways, or at least that's what it looked like from the video footage. Okay, so well, that's my thoughts on that one there. So the next aspect is called Ionic Sentry. So this must be for Warlocks. Let me take a sip of my tea. All right. Bungie says, we're just going to come out and say it. Everyone loves buddies. Oh, God. And Arxel was begging us for a sibling. Was it, though?
Yes, Guardian.
Was it really? Like, I feel like the people that were begging it for a sibling did like these really wacky builds on YouTube already, like with 4 arc buddies and stuff, or 4 turrets. Like you can already have the Bleak Watcher, the Hellion, the Arc Soul, and the whatever it is, the thing from the exotic pulse rifle. I can't remember what it's called. One from Europa. So yeah, I don't know. Do we really need another buddy? Like I'd rather just play the game myself, personally. Anyways, Arc Soul was begging us for a sibling, according to Bungie. Behold, we found one in Ionic Sentry, our new arc aspect for Stormcaller Warlocks. Ionic Sentry. Defeat targets with arc abilities or weapons to charge up an Ionic Sentry. Activate Grenade. Deploy a powerful arc turret which blinds on impact and sends out bolts of lightning that chain to nearby enemies and grant stacks of bolt charge when it defeats enemies. Okay, so that sounds pretty cool. Even though I just talked a bunch of crap about buddies, I take it back, I guess. Yeah, so it's going to be like a flashbang grenade that you throw, and then it turns into a turret that chains lightning, because it sends out bolts of lightning, multiple, that chain, so that's like a jolt effect. So it's like a flashbang Trinity Ghoul that gives you stacks of bolt charge, basically. And then your melee is going to do a lot more damage because of bolt charge. And we can watch some video footage of right here with the Stormcaller using it on Raneiks. I like how they're like, I'm about to go into Vesper's host here, and all the video footage of these new aspects are being used on Vesper's host specifically. So maybe they're trying to tell me I should just not worry about doing my solo flawless right now and do it when Heresy comes out. Okay, so I'm watching the footage now. Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. It looks like a frickin' Tesla coil. That's wicked. It's like an orb, like a sphere. That's more like defined than say the what's the helmet, the speaker sight. It's like more defined and a bigger bubble than the speaker sight healing turret. And it's kind of like translucent. It's got like little lightning bolts going through it, and then it's just chaining lightning all over the place. So I don't know. It looks pretty wicked. But then again, like, what do you give up to use that? You would have to give up Electrostatic Mind or Arc Soul. Wait, you can have Arc Soul and Ionic Sentry? Yeah, because Ionic Sentry is your grenade, like a Bleak Watcher, right? Like on stasis, instead of throwing out a stasis grenade, you throw out a stasis turret by using your grenade. So that's what Ionic Sentry is going to be for Stormcallers. And then you could drop a Rift and have your frickin' Arc Soul, right? So you can have, like... Imagine if you have 3 of them. Well, I don't know. I mean... I guess anybody in your team can already benefit from getting an Arc Soul by passing in and out of your Rift. So if you had 3 Warlocks, then you could just have Arc Souls and Arc Turrets all over the place. Ionic Sentries. Okay, I don't know. Sounds pretty cool. So this is giving a little bit of the multiple buddy build identity over to Stormcaller. You know, kind of from the from Prismatic, I guess. They didn't want Prismatic Warlock to be the exclusive buddy build. Yeah, what did I... Stormcallers are masterful at channeling arc energy, reshaping and redeploying it to cause mayhem on the battlefield. With Ionic Sentry, Stormcallers have harnessed arc energy and coalesced it into a perfect orb of hurricane and harmony. Once it is charged up through arc ability weapon kills, you gain access to Ionic Sentry as a special grenade throw, similar to how Gunpowder Gamble works for gunslingers. Okay, so you got to build it up. Wait, so does that also mean then that you can still throw... You could still throw pulse grenades around, right? But then as soon as your Ionic Sentry is charged up like Gunpowder Gamble, you just get this free special grenade that you can just throw out. Okay, that makes it even better. So, I mean, that's cool. When it first lands on the battlefield, Ionic Sentry will blind any nearby enemies and begin to chain lightning between enemies, dealing damage. When Ionic Sentry defeats any target, you will gain a stack of Bolt Charge, making it a great way to build up Bolt Charge stacks quickly. Right? Yeah, I keep forgetting. It also gives you Bolt Charge. It's going to take a while to absorb these new aspects when you actually get to sit down and play with them. Right? It's going to be a little bit more nuanced than just reading it here and remembering one thing. But yeah, it's going to enhance your Bolt Charge game on top of giving you a free special grenade that is a turret. In our playtests, Ionic Sentry has been a favorite of Stormcallers, providing much needed area control during combat and access to potent damage through Bolt Charge. And keep in mind, this is still, like, again, this is just an aspect. This isn't an exotic, so it means that you could still use, like, what's the needle helmet called again? Yeah, anyways, you can use whatever exotic with Stormcaller and then still have this turret thing going and an Arc Soul. Right. As always, we're excited to get 3 aspects into players' hands, and we'll be keeping an eye on feedback. Okay, so I mean, this is a pretty good addition that they're adding to Heresy, I would say, because what did we get with Revenant? Did we get any new aspects? Any new abilities? I don't think so. I think we just got nerfs and buffs and broken builds remaining the same. Like, Consecration Titan has just been the same, if not better. But nothing new anyways. So, okay, so next part of the TWAB here is Heresy balance changes. So that's the aspects covered. Pretty cool. 3 new aspects, 1 for each class. They're all arc, right? Titans get a cool barricade. Well, no, sorry. Hunters get a void one, right? I didn't watch the footage of the hunter one either. I'm least excited about the hunter one because it's already on a very good subclass on Night Stalker, and it's about invisibility and marking targets like nothing that Night Stalker doesn't already do. So, least interesting is the Hunter one. Most interesting, I would say, is Titan and Warlock. I have a feeling that Ionic Sentry is probably going to be the most popular, just because the whole buddy turret thing is just super fun and people seem to love it. Okay, so getting on to balance changes. With the big ticket items on our way, let's take a look at upcoming changes to tried and true abilities in Sandbox. Our primary focus for this release is arc abilities, but there are several non-arc changes as well. Hunter. Several non-arc changes. Okay, so they're kind of focusing on arc, it sounds like, for Heresy, right? 2 brand new aspects, Titan and Warlock, and then a bunch of changes that we're going to read about. Except I'm not used to reading aloud for this long, and I'm also not used to live streaming this much, so I gotta take some of my coffee every now and then. Hunter, Arc Strider, Tempest Strike, new additional effect added. Killing any jolted target grants a stack of Bolt Charge. Increased damage against PvE enemies by 57%. Okay, so they're trying to get Arc Striders basically off of, you know, the lethal current combination blow. Flow state kind of gameplay loop of punch dodge, maybe, or maybe this is just going to be a better punch dodge potentially, because combination blow isn't an aspect anyways. You're just going to be giving up either lethal current or flow state for Bolt Charge, right? And there is the new arc aspect that we got with Prismatic, or with the final shape anyways, right? The one where you do the helicopter spin up in the air. That I can't remember what it's called. Right, but that's kind of unique in its own way. So it sounds to me like now Tempest Strike doing more damage in PvE, It's also going to give you stacks of bolt charge, which is going to increase your melee damage, right? So I guess so your follow-up Tempest Strike could deal more damage if it's enhanced by bolt charge, right? Or your combination blow is going to have like a massive amount of lightning energy built into that punch, so that could be extremely cool. That could potentially break the game in a lot of situations. I mean, we've seen combination blow hunters, because you could you're still going to be able to use like Liar's Handshake with this build, I would imagine. So there'll probably be there's probably going to be some crazy broken stuff, right? It's either that or they're just going to like not have it work properly with Liar's Handshake. Disorienting Blow, they're doing some changes here. Now grants a moderate amount of bolt charge stacks when dealing damage with Disorienting Blow. Okay, so I mean, yeah, because Disorienting Blow is kind of, unless you're like just looking to sneak up on an unstop and blind it to stun it, you're usually going combination blow. Now deals significant damage in an area around the target hit instead of just single target damage. Increased the blind AoE from 6 to almost 10 meters, 9.6. I mean, that's a major area of effect increase to the blind on Disorienting Blow. And it gives you stacks of bolt charge again. So, okay, pretty cool. Arc Staff, reflecting an attack will grant a stack of bolt charge. Okay, so basically anything you do now, you're going to get bolt charge. Use bolt charge. Bolt charge, good. Use it. You have no choice. It's going to be on the left side of your screen all the time, taking up all the other important buffs. Ascension, right, that's the name of the other aspect that we got with the final shape. Increased fragment slots to 3. What? Okay, so what was I literally just saying, 15 minutes ago? That they need to increase aspect slots, okay, sorry, they didn't do that, but they still kind of did what I wanted. Increased fragment slots to 3 on Arc for Ascension. Very good. So now you're going to be able to, on Arc Hunter, you're going to have up to 5 fragments, maybe 6, because we haven't finished reading yet. Maybe other aspects will give you more fragments as well. But yeah, Ascension is going to give you 3, so the helicopter spin to win thing is going to be more buildcraft friendly. So note, Ascension was already granting 3 fragment slots on Prismatic. Yes, that's true, it was. So why wasn't it doing that on Arcstrider? Instead, you just took Arcstrider and threw it in the trash can for the whole era of Prismatic Hunter. Good. Activating Ascension will now activate the effects from the following abilities. Activating Ascension will now activate the effects from Gambler's Dodge, Marksman's Dodge, Empowering Dodge, and Threaded Spectre. What? Wait a second. Okay, so what they're saying now is that when you do this class ability aspect, I've been wanting this forever. Like, this should have worked in tandem with your actual class ability, right? Because you're giving up, like, essentially to use the helicopter thing before with Ascension, you give up Gambler's Dodge, you give up Marksman's Dodge, right? What's Empowering Dodge? I haven't even heard of that. Oh, the Radiant one on Solar, I guess, right? For Prismatic. Yeah, but so now you're going to be able to reload your weapons when you ascend, and you're going to be able to get your melee back when you ascend your enemies, right, from Marksman's Dodge. So that's pretty cool. And you're going to be able to go Radiant on Prismatic Hunter when you do Ascension. Okay, that's pretty cool. And Threaded Spectre. Okay, so you can ascend, helicopter spin, create a Threaded Spectre, go Radiant, or reload your weapon, or get your melee ability back all at the same time, right? Because Threaded Spectre is an aspect, Ascension is an aspect. You can just have a Prismatic Hunter build that is Ascension and Threaded Spectre, and just spam that crap all over the place and get multiple benefits at the same time. Note, we don't plan to make Ascension activate every Hunter class ability perk, but we may add more interactions in the future. What do you mean every? We don't plan to make Ascension. You just said that it's going to activate every class ability. What other class abilities are there? on Hunter, other than Gambler's Dodge, Marksman's Dodge, and Empower and Dodge. I know that's a very confusing note. Maybe they mean class ability modifications, like not necessarily just the class ability itself, but ones that benefit from class ability, like Vanishing Step, right? Well, I mean, you're not going to be able to use it with Vanishing Step anyways because it's not on Prismatic or Arc. But what other class? I guess the slowing one, right? Which I can't remember what it's called. But, you know, Winter Shroud. Yeah, that's it. So maybe it's not going to work with Winter Shroud, is what they're saying there. But it's going to work with all the other stuff. Thread Runner. Changes to Thread Runner, Strand Hunter. Ensnaring Slam. Activating Ensnaring Slam. Okay, same thing. Right, you don't even have to read the rest of that to know where they're going with that. So Ensnaring Slam is now going to also do the same crap. It's going to, you'll be able to reload your weapons, you'll be able to get your melee back and spam a Threaded Spectre, all while doing your Ensnaring Slam. Right, this is just a very good quality of life buff. Should have always been like that, in my opinion. Like, I don't like the idea of aspects completely overwriting your abilities. Same thing with Consecration. The only reason I don't mind Consecration now taking up my melee ability, right? Because like I have 3 Frenzied Blades, but why would I ever use a Frenzied Blade? Like essentially, I don't have 3 Frenzied Blades because I have 3 Consecrations, right? So that's the conflict there that I don't really enjoy with some of those types of aspects that overwrite your abilities. But now they're making these, at least for Hunter, work together instead of overwriting each other. Right. So yeah, Ensnaring Slam, good. Threaded Spectre, increase the clone's PvE damage resistance from 40. Like they keep changing this Threaded Spectre based on stuff that's happening in the Crucible and PvP, and it is like the most boring aspect now. Like I liked it when it broke up into threadlings if you shot it or if enemies got near it. Now it like never breaks up into threadlings. It just sits there like a total dummy, which I guess it is. But yeah, regardless. So now they're just making it more damage resistant. Like who cares? Like I want cool effects. I want more damage. I don't want a dummy to be like have better DR. Like the dummy is fulfilling its purpose by like the enemies have a decoy to go to instead of me, right? I don't need it to last forever. It's like a getaway. Okay, so that's it for the balance changes to Hunter for Heresy, right? So just Strand Hunter and Arc Strider, those are the main changes there. Now we're going into Titan. So all Titan subclasses, it says. Barricade. Increased damage resistance versus combatant splash damage attacks when standing behind barricade from 60 to 80%. So you're even more resistant behind your barricade. Barricade's way better now, right? Not only can you use them as a threaded specter, essentially, to taunt enemies, right? And evade enemies. You can just drop a barricade and run away because they're going to be attracted to the barricade instead of you, right? They made that change a while ago. Now you're going to be able to use this aspect on Arc Titan and, well, I guess, yeah, just Arc Titan, I think, for the bolt charge shots on your weapons. And now it's also going to give you even more DR when you're behind it. Taunt strength and range no longer fall off over time. Okay, that sounds like subtle changes that might make a bigger impact than I realize. I don't really know. Alright. Okay, Barricade better. Striker. That's all barricades, all subclasses, like it said. Striker, Juggernaut. While Juggernaut Shield is active, players now have splash damage resistance. 60% splash damage resistance in PvE. 10% in PvP. While the Juggernaut Shield is active, players now have 10% damage resistance versus PvE combatants. While Juggernaut Shield is active, players now have 10%. Okay. So only while the shield is active? What? Yeah, that just sounds a little redundant to me, because, I mean, the shield is already a damage-resistant aspect. Like, So now it gives you 10% DR. Like, I guess that's just to your overall DR. So like if you get shot from behind, you're essentially going to be a little bit tankier with the Juggernaut aspect, even behind the Juggernaut shield, right? And on top of that, you're getting 60% splash damage resistance. So basically, you're not only going to have the Juggernaut shield, but you're also going to be a heck of a lot tankier all around. When the Juggernaut shield blocks damage, players are granted a stack of Bolt Charge. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Bolt Charge now works with Juggernaut too. So like I was already talking about Arctitan's aspects, what you would give up for the new Bolt Charge one, which is called, before I forget, Storm's Keep, right? The new aspect for Arctitan. Yeah, I was talking about what are you going to give up, Knockout or Touch of Thunder? Pretty hard to choose, but now, like, you know, nobody thinks of Juggernaut in PvE, but maybe people will start thinking about Juggernaut in PvE as well. So this is really going to shake up a lot of the build crafting conceptual work, at least for build crafting nerds like myself. Yeah, it's gonna. I guess it'll be. If I don't test it, I'm gonna watch somebody else test it, and if it shows, you know, if it's proven to be decent, I might try it out for something. But it's still like the whole essence of Juggernaut doesn't really appeal to me in PvE. Just running straight at enemies, right? Unless I know I have 3 consecrations, I'm generally not gonna do that. Ballistic Slam, sprint time requirement before activation significantly reduced. What happened to my cat? Okay, Ballistic Slam, sprint time requirement before activation significantly reduced. Yeah, because that's the awkward part about it, right? Is you got to sprint. Damage now scales based on distance traveled. So it's like full court for your Ballistic Slam. Damage versus PvE combatants increased by 30%. Okay, that might be good. Yeah, in all honesty, I don't think I've ever really used Ballistic Slam in D2 like I did in Destiny 1 a lot. Like, that was probably my favorite thing to do as an Arctitan, which is what I mained in D1. It was just like, I was just Superman slamming everybody. Thunder Crash, Ballistic Slam. Thunder Crash, Ballistic Slam. That was super fun, especially in Crucible. But yeah, so it's going to be doing more damage. Each enemy damaged by Ballistic Slam grants a stack of Bolt Charge. I guess I should just foresee that they're going to add Bolt Charge to every single thing that they're changing now. Up to max stacks of 10 if you manage to hit 10 targets with a single activation. So for every target that you hit with Ballistic Slam, you will get 1 stack of Bolt Charge per enemy. So that's pretty cool. So you can, and then I'm assuming that if you get your Bolt Charge times 10, right, which is the max stacks, and then you're going to have your Bolt Charge ready to be discharged, you will be able to apply that to your next Ballistic Slam. So then your Ballistic Slam is going to be doing like a massive amount of damage. That could be pretty cool, pretty fun. Sentinel, ooh, Sentinel, my favorite. Unbreakable, making changes to the unbreakable aspect. Good, because it's like, it's dumb, it's useless in PvE. It's a waste of time, IMO. Increase the rate that the unbreakable offensive increase the rate that the unbreakable offensive throw charges up when blocking damage. So you're going to charge up. You're going to charge it up faster. Increased max damage dealt from the offensive blow by 20%. That doesn't sound very appealing. Like 20%. Like, I mean, the damage that it was doing already wasn't that good. Like, you're sitting there charging it up, putting yourself at, like, in the middle of a bunch of enemies to charge up this thing instead of killing things, and then it does a bit of damage, right? When you could have just, like, thrown a grenade from further away. I don't know, it makes no sense to me, that playstyle. Like, for PvP, I could see how this could be beneficial for different game modes, like, especially objective-based, like, hold the point, capture the flag, you know, domination, control, whatever. Increase the health pool of the shield to make it less likely to break when under heavy fire. Still don't care. Increase the void overshield charge rate while holding the shield. Okay, that's still don't care because they're still just trying to encourage you more and more and more to sit there holding your grenade charge instead of throwing a grenade, which I don't like. The throw now costs half of a grenade energy charge instead of a full charge. I guess that's good. Okay, yeah, so that way you can spam it even more. You can just sit there and be even more useless for a longer period of time. While Sentinel Shield is equipped, Orb of Power creation cooldown is increased from 1 to 4.5 seconds. So that's like a nerf. Weird. Okay, note, Unbreakable has received a significant buff here. Oh, okay, so we're describing it as nerf, but actually it's a significant buff. We want it to be strong, but we'll be monitoring it closely to make sure we haven't gone too far. Okay, maybe they're not just talking about the orbs, maybe they're talking about in general. Ward of Dawn. Ward of Dawn now does a weaken pulse when the ward is created. Okay, that is good. I like that. I'm a big fan of Ward of Dawn. I like Helm of Saint 14. I know they made some dramatic changes to Ward of Dawn so that it no longer gives you weapons of light. Right, unless you have Helm of Saint 14 on. But now that's going to increase the potency of Helm of Saint 14 in endgame like dungeon raid bosses even more, especially if you're solo, because it's going to give you access to Radiant essentially, right? Weapons of light, 25% weapon damage buff that is not stackable with Radiant, so same thing. Plus, you're going to weaken the enemy without having to throw your grenade, right? And keep in mind, you're already being fed an extra grenade whenever you do cast your Ward of Dawn. So you could potentially get the initial... You would get the initial weaken from your bubble. And this would only really apply to like melee-based bosses, right? Or bosses that are close enough for the weaken effect to hit them from the bubble, right? So it would be kind of situational, but still really cool. And I can definitely see that being really good in GMs even, right? It's not only giving yourself and your teammates a invincible bubble of protection and overshields when they exit and re-enter the bubble, or vice versa, but you're also going to weaken all the enemies around it, right? And it also blinds them, so I mean, that's pretty cool. I think it's, yeah, I like that change. Okay, so changes to Sunbreaker. Again, if you're joining the live stream now, I apologize that I'm not doing solo flawless Vesper right now, or solo flawless attempts. I did say that I was going to read the TWAB, but the TWAB is actually super long, so lots of changes here. But for the rest of the end of the episode, I'm pretty much just going to be trying to tackle Vesper's host solo, try and keep my Paragon, and ideally do the flawless and get the emblem. So next change is to Sunbreaker here, and by the way, this video is going to be on my page permanently in the live tab, so and I'll see if I can time code it. I don't know if I could do that, but if I could put chapters in there, this is basically going to be a TWAB analysis and read aloud of all of the ability changes and updates, new aspects. We get 3 new aspects, so lots of changes here. And I'm going to try and skim over all the nonsense, so I'm not wasting my time or anybody else's time with stuff that you don't care about. If you're watching my channel, you know that it's pretty much about build crafting, endgame content stuff. So you can read the TWAB if you want to learn about all the other stuff, like movie of the week and stuff like that. Sunbreaker, changes to Sunbreaker. Consecration. Reduced Scorch Wave and Slam Wave damage in PvE by 55%. Reduced what? Note, keep in mind this said Sunbreaker. This didn't say Prismatic Titan, right? So Consecration is already like a useless aspect on Solar Titan because you can't spam 3 of them, right? And I don't want to say useless, but like it's compared to a throwing hammer that you can use infinitely. Like there's not really any good incentive to use Consecration on Solar Titan. But so they're gonna nerf it, right? Because it's really not. This makes no sense to me. Anyways, there's a note. When reviewing the damage cost ratio for certain abilities, it became clear that the Consecration was doing too much for too little. We didn't want to take away the dramatic pop moment of landing both waves on a target, though, so we kept its increased ignition damage bonus and instead reduced the wave damage. Okay, we suspect we may also need to adjust the ignition damage in the future. All that sounds great, but the fact that it's isolated to Sunbreaker makes zero sense to me. Like, this nerf should be 100% for Prismatic Titan, and frankly, Consecration should get a buff on Solar Titan. Like, why does Prismatic Titan have the better solar effect than the solar subclass itself? Makes no sense to me. Yeah, so Sunbreaker is getting even worse Consecration, and so if this is written correctly, it's just going to encourage people to play Consecration even less on Sunbreaker and even more on Prismatic Titan. But I'm hoping that that's a typo, and that Consecration nerf, which is fairly decent, 55% on the initial wave, hopefully that applies to Prismatic as well. But frankly, I would like to see the Consecration aspect overwrite the abilities so that it's just a one charge use, right? So even if you have 3 Frenzied Blades, it's gonna eat up all 3 Frenzied Blades by using Consecration once. That's what I would like to see, right? And a damage nerf, personally, because you could still pop Transcendence and then just spam it over and over again anyways, regardless of having 3 Frenzied Blades or not. It just does too much damage and it's too spammable. Okay, so that's pretty much it for Titan. So Titan ability changes are done. Hunter, so we're going into Warlock next, and let me come right back in like 2 minutes. I'm just gonna feed my dogs before my husky starts howling at me. So BRB. Yes. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so Warlock. Ability changes, balance changes. Heresy balance changes, that's what they're calling them. Stormcaller, Storm Trance. Increased non-champion PvE damage by 20%. Storm Trance, oh, that's the super, right? I always get the super names mixed up on Warlock. Okay, I mean that's good. Chaos Reach, increased non-champion PvE damage by 15%. That's pretty good. Hopefully that scales up to Geomags, because even though Chaos Reach has never been that great outside of like heavily like Thunderous Retort, you know, when we had that seasonal artifact mod to increase arc super damage. Chaos Reach has never really been great outside of that, but I do find even with Geomags like today, and when there's no arc stuff in the artifact, I find Geomags still pretty good with Chaos Reach. It's a very user-friendly free damage super. Like, it doesn't require a ton of skill. You can use it at a safe distance. I'm a big fan of Chaos Reach with Geomags, so even if it's not the best damage in the game, but it's getting better, so that sounds good to me. Lightning Surge, removed Removed amplified on cast. Why? Now grants a stack of bolt charge for each enemy hit with lightning surge. Increased damage versus PvE by 30%. Okay, well that's fair, I think. I think it's a fair change. Like, it's a fair nerf and a fair buff, and it makes sense. Because they're trying to ingrain this whole bolt charge buff, which is arc based. They're trying to ingrain it into the game in various ways for every single class and different subclasses and whatnot. Don't be surprised if we end up seeing it on weapons in some kind of way. But yeah, so normally when you use your Lightning Surge, right, and I only really have experience with Lightning Surge since Prismatic Warlock, because my favorite build on Prismatic Warlock is the Lightning Surge one, right? I never liked it before on like Stormcaller, but it's super good on Prismatic, because you could spam it like Consecration, but it's more balanced than Consecration. That's also why I like it. It's not overkill. It's fun. It's spammable enough, but it's not ruining the game. But yeah, anyway, so the changes that they're making here is they're getting rid of Amplified, so you can't just use it for free amplification like you can with Ascension on Hunter, for example, which is kind of a bummer because that was a nice bonus, like especially using it, like I remember using it in the Light Blade to get through the swamp. If you can do like a Lightning Surge before you head through the swamp, even if you don't hit an enemy, you're just immediately amplified, and then you could speed run through the entire swamp. Also good for traversals through raids and keeping up with your teams or getting ahead of them, right? So that's kind of a bummer, but I mean that's just more of like a utility benefit anyways. It's not really like... Yeah, so now instead though, it's going to grant you a stack of bolt charge for every enemy that you hit, right? And that bolt charge, right, where I'm assuming that just like Tempest Strike, just like what they did to Tempest Strike, that you're going to be able to take those bolt charge stacks once you max them out at times 10, and you're going to be able to discharge that on your next melee, right? Because your bolt charge is going to apply energy to your melee ability. So it means that use Lightning Surge to build up bolt charge stacks, then use Lightning Surge again to discharge bolt charge stacks, right? So picture this with Inmost Synthos on Prismatic, right? Oh, well, this is saying Stormcaller specifically, right? So there's some question marks with this TWAB here. They're saying this is for Stormcaller. Does that mean that you're still going to get amplified on Prismatic Warlock? Because that wouldn't really make much sense. Like, why would it give you amplified on one but not on the other, right? So I don't really know what to make with a lot of, like, the way that they're titling these changes, whether they're just to the core subclasses or to Prismatic or both. I would imagine that this should be to both. But if it is to both, then yeah, the Synthos build on Prismatic Warlock is going to be absolutely nuts, because the next point here, again, increased damage by versus PvE combatants by 30%. So Lightning Surge, just by itself, all alone, no stacks of bolt charge, is doing 30% more damage in PvE. So they're trying to bring in a little bit more in line with Consecration, it sounds, but it would probably require 130 or 230% to be equivalent to Consecration, I think. So I don't think it's going to be overkill, but it's definitely going to be better, right? And that bolt charge effect is going to be pretty cool. It's going to be visually satisfying to watch, and it's going to be very potent versus, like, you could probably nuke champions with if you get like a full if you get your bolt charge ready buff and then Lightning Surge a champ with Synthos. Like, you're probably just going to be able to one-shot a champ. Or close. Anyways, Voidwalker. Handheld Supernova. Chaos Accelerant's Magnetic Grenade variant. Chaos Accelerant's Magnetic Grenade variant. Increased total projectile count from 5 to 9. Okay, so Warlock mains, Voidwalker mains are going to have to... If you know about this... Like, what's the handheld Supernova? That's not Pocket Singularity. Chaos Accelerants. Wait, Chaos Accelerant is the aspect on Voidwalker. It's Magnetic Grenade variants. Handheld super... Okay. Anyways, it increased the total projectile count from 5 to 9, increased the width of the cone's blast by roughly 2 meters, increased the height of the cone's blast by 1 meter, reduced projectile damage in PvE from 20 to 15 per projectile to account for... So it sounds like they're doing a lot of changes to this handheld supernova, and I don't even know what it is. So, yeah, if anybody knows... Guys, what's the handheld supernova? Chaos Accelerant's magnetic grenade variant. I don't know. It's getting a lot better. I don't think it's this. It's nothing super related, right? It's not related to Nova Bomb, is it? I don't think so. Note, adding 4 projectiles is potentially a substantial damage increase, but due to the increased size of the cone blast, all projectiles won't land on a single smaller target. This means PvP potency should remain similar, but in PvE this becomes a much more reliable add clear tool for or single target burst damage option against larger targets. Okay, all classes. So balance changes to all classes in Heresy. Solar, Radiant. What? Damage bonus reduced from 25% to 20% in PvE. Well of Radiant's damage bonus remains unchanged. That seems unnecessary to me. It really does. Like we're already in a sandbox right now where everything revolves around abilities. Despite having a good assortment of weapons available to us, like rocket sidearms and heavy grenade launchers are powerful right now, but like still overwhelmingly like the game is about ability spam. And if you're like solo speedrunning GMs, like in the ones that I watch, everybody's just spamming Consecration. Like, I mean, I don't think Radiant was in any kind of position to deserve that kind of nerf. But yeah, so Radiant is now going to be 20% instead of 25, unless you're in a well Radiance, right? So, you know, they made changes to well Radiance, they nerfed it or buffed it, however you want to look at it. I mean, the damage resistance was heavily nerfed, but they buffed it in the sense that you can dip in and out of the well and maintain Radiant. But now you're going to be even more encouraged to have a Solar Warlock on your team because you cannot get that amount of damage buff otherwise, unless you're on Helmetsame 14 using the new and improved Ward of Dawn that also weakens enemies, and you'll have Weapons of Light for 25%, right, for you and your team. Yep, so that's a big change there. Stasis, Frost Armor, increased DR per stack from 4.5 to 6.25. Okay, well that's good. At max stacks, DR goes from 36 to 50. Okay, so now you can get better Frost Armor than Woven Mail, right? That was the one downside to Frost Armor before, and I'm rarely enticed to even use like Facet of Purpose. Or if I'm on it, I haven't even really played core stasis builds to be honest, but at least on Prismatic, playing into Facet of Purpose for what, a whopping 22.5% for 5 stacks, you get max stacks of Frost Armor and you basically get half of Woven Mail, right? I think literally half, because it's 45% for Woven Mail. Mind you, like, you maintain your Frost Armor stacks longer. The timer is longer for Frost Armor than it is for Woven Mail on Prismatic, but still, like, you still got to build it up. And if the timer runs out on Frost Armor times 5, for example, you don't go down to times 4. You just lose all of your stacks, which I don't really like. I wish they would make it so that when the timer runs out, you just lose the stack. I would have been fine with keeping the damage resistance at 4.5% per stack for a max of 22.5 on Prismatic, if you can just maintain that buff longer, right? So that way you always have some damage resistance, but it's never quite like, you know, having 5 seconds worth of 45% DR from Woven Mail, right? So that way there's like some contrast between the two types of buff. Now they're just making it more in line with Woven Mail, right? And you can actually get better than Woven Mail. The changes is for PvE only. PvP values remain unchanged. Okay. Arc. Okay, some big changes here to Arc. Amplified. While amplified, PvE combatants are now less accurate against you. This is similar to how the Manticore's exotic effect works while in the air. Okay, so I mean, I like Amplified. I mean, who doesn't like running fast? I think you get faster handling and weapons reload speed, right? I think there's some snappy benefits there for your weapons as well, but the speed booster is pretty invaluable. But yeah, like if you're talking endgame PvE and, you know, you're not really necessarily encouraged to use something like Fast Purpose to get free Amplified on Orb Pickup. It's not like a critical buff, right? It's like a bonus, right? It helps you traverse through, like, it helps you as a speedrunner, I guess, which I'm not. But it would help you. It would help you in traversal sections and dungeons and raids and just getting through stuff faster, evading enemies faster, right? Jumping faster, getting access to more places on the map. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of benefits to Amplified, but it's not like it's helping you stay alive in the same way that other buffs like Woven Mail and Restoration and Devour are, right? But now it's going to be better. So now it's going to make enemies less likely to damage you. Also, another change to Amplified. While Amplified players now have 15% damage resistance against PvE combatants. Wow. What? Okay. That is surprising. So now you get a light DR value just for being Amplified. That completely changes Amplified. That's like Facet of Protection. That's like having 2 stacks or 3 stacks of Frost Armor, whatever, just by being Amplified. And they're not saying that they're reducing the buff time, because keep in mind, with Amplified, even though it doesn't give you many benefits other than Speed Booster, etc., like I already just mentioned, you get the buff for like 10-12 seconds or something like that, compared to Frost Armor at like, what, 8 seconds, Woven Mail at 5 seconds, Radiant is like 5 seconds, right? So you keep Amplified up for a long time. Now you're also going to have a static 15% damage resistance value for being Amplified. And you're going to be hit less by the enemies, just like the Manticore exotic, right, in PvE. So that is pretty... Amplified's going to be juiced. It's going to be... looks like we're setting up Heretic to be, like, very arc-focused. Because a lot of these balancing buffs, the new aspects, the new Bolt Charge buff, this is really going to hype up Arc a lot. Yeah. Cool. I'm excited for that. Spark of Discharge. So they're added effect. Picking up Ionic Trace grants a stack of Bolt Charge. Wow, okay. That's cool. I actually really like Spark of Discharge. I've put out a few videos using Spark of Discharge, like in Onslaught builds on Stormcaller and other builds. It's really good. Like, I mean, if you want to spam your abilities, then you build into Ionic Traces, right? And if you're on something like, I mentioned Stormcaller first because you got Electrostatic Bind, right? And with the spiky helmet, again, I can't remember the name of it, Fallen Sunstar, right? I think that's what it's called. Ionic Traces come to you faster, they give you more ability energy, and they give your teammates ability energy, right? So now, if you add Spark of Discharge onto that build, right, with, like, I've shown that in action on my channel on in the Onslaught builds for Stormcaller, right? Now you're gonna get stacks of Bolt Charge, right? So you use Spark of Discharge, you get kills with your arc weapons, you get Ionic Traces in return, and you get stacks of Bolt Charge now, right? So the Spark of Discharge, its value just went up a lot, right? And especially if you synergize, like if you double down on that, right, with other ways of getting Ionic Traces, and with, like, Fallen Sunstar, Electrostatic Mine. Next change here is to Spark of Momentum. Okay, I can't remember exactly what it does. We'll read here and it'll come to me. Added effect. Sliding over ammo bricks now also grants a stack of Bolt Charge. Remove the bespoke melee energy bonus from sliding over ammo bricks, since each stack of Bolt Charge comes with bonus melee energy. Oh, is that like sliding over ammo bricks? What did it do before? I don't even remember this fragment. This might be one of the new ones they added with the final shape that I never saw as something viable compared to the other fragments. Reduced the amount of time you need to be sliding to activate Spark of Momentum. This should make it so that you start your slide on top of an ammo brick. Spark of Momentum will still activate instead of previously needing to slide into the brick after roughly 0.75 seconds. I'm not... None of this is clicking for me. If anybody watching knows exactly how Spark of Momentum worked before, then maybe you can enlighten me on this, but yeah, it's not clicking for me. Spark of Frequency added the effect while amplified, gain a bonus stack of bolt charge from all sources in addition to previous effect. Was Spark of Frequency the one where you get orbs of power when you kill enemies while amplified? Again, here, like I can't remember. Like, these fragments are ones that I didn't typically use anyways, so, which I guess Bungie noticed, so they're trying to make them more viable to people. Spark of Volts, again, another one that I didn't use. Added effect. Finishers grant a stack of bolt charge in addition to granting amplified. So basically, there's going to be like a whole bunch of changes to arc fragments and new effects, and they're all going to be benefiting bolt charge. Spark of Ions, added effect. Targets defeated... Well, I know what Spark of Ions is. You kill an jolted or... I think it's just jolted. Is it jolted or blinded? But either way, you kill an arc debuffed enemy, you get an Ionic Trace, right? I think it's on 10-12 second cooldown. Now targets defeated with Bolt Charge will also make Ionic Traces, right? Okay, so they're including Bolt Charge as one of the arc effects that can... return an Ionic Trace to you if you're using this fragment, which only makes sense. Okay, changes to Prismatic. Alright, so hopefully this is good. Facet of Hope can now be activated by Bolt Charge. Okay, right, because Bolt Charge is a buff, so yeah, it should be, right? Facet of Hope, in case you don't know, it's when you get class ability energy when you have a buff, so it's very good for like warlocks using their rifts and their buddies. It's good for barricades and thruster dodges. There's a lot of different Drenger's Lash, I guess, right? So Facet of Hope definitely has some applications for class ability based builds. Yeah, so that makes sense. Bolt Charge is going to help there. Facet of Purpose now grants a stack of Bolt Charge on orb pickup when an Arc Super is equipped instead of granting Amplified. Okay. Well, so I just went on to this whole thing about now Amplified is going to be so good. Facet of Purpose is going to be a very, very viable option to use if you're using like T-Crash. If you're using an Arc Super, you pick up an orb, you get Amplified. It's gonna be OP essentially now, right? Not OP, but it's going to be very, very good. Well, you can scratch that idea because they just changed it, right? So now Facet of Purpose doesn't even give you Amplified. Right, it's just going to give you Bolt Charge, which kind of sucks. But I mean, I don't know anything about Bolt Charge other than what we've read through today on the TWAB, which it does sound good. It's going to be a big damage boost to your melee ability and works with specific aspects and fragments. So I guess it could be very good. I guess it could be very good on like Knockout, right? So if you're like on a T-Crash Prismatic Titan with Knockout, Consecration, and Facet of Purpose, now your Consecrations are going to be doing Bolt Charge too. Wow. Okay. Facet of Sacrifice can now be activated by Bolt Charge. Okay, I think Facet of Sacrifice is when you have a light buff and you get ability kills, you get Dark Transcendence energy. I think that's what Facet of Sacrifice is. So again, this is just kind of like a no-brainer type of change, right? They added a new buff, so they got to add it to the stuff that, is affected by buffs. Modifiers. Brawn. Tuned healing sources to better balance the health economy when this modifier is active. And that's all we have for Heresy. We're looking forward to jumping into the game. Blah, 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 blah. Passes Prologue starts next week. Past his prologue. As we enjoy the final weeks of Revenant, we have one final celebration. His prologue of sorts, leading into Heresy, where we get the chance to see what life in the universe is like when there aren't any goods around for us to play. This time, spend a few quiet moments with Eris and the Drifter. January 21st. Okay, so it sounds like January 21st you can visit Drifter, pick up quests that will reward special currency. Okay, so this is going to be kind of like, it sounds like they're adding like a little Evil Levante type event where you can get some old weapons, some crappy weapons. Oh no, these are good weapons. You can get Cataphract GL3 Adept with a fixed roll. Oh, okay, so I see what they're doing here. This is to make up for the weight gate on the weapon perks, right? Because they gave Banshee like loose change volt shot on Indebted Kindness. They gave us a hothead, right? They gave us some unlikely combination of perks that were, they were unlikely previously due to the weight gating issue. So, and I think I remember that Bungie had said that they're going to issue more weapons that, were kind of screwed over by this RNG weighting issue. So starting January 21st, I guess before the end of the season, you're going to be able to do some stuff for Drifter and get access to some of these god rolls, I guess. Cataphract GL3 with Envious Bait and Switch. Igneous Hammer with Fragile Focus Precision Instrument. Sounds like PvP. Horror's Least Adept with Perpetual Motion Kill Clip. That's PvP. Riptide. Riptide with Compulsive Reloader and Chill Clip. The only reason I'm laughing is because, well, A, that's not the god roll. Like, the god roll is, well, I guess you could say it's a god roll, but auto-loading holster and Chill Clip would be a lot better, right? But they're giving an Arrowhead, Enhanced Battery, and Charge Time. Enhanced Battery, I don't know, you need... I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm only laughing because when I was farming, I don't play PvP in this game really, but I did Iron Banner recently for Tenacious Mastery and Tusk of the Boar and get caught up and get some of those decent weapons. And while I was doing it, I was getting Crucible engrams, and I decided to just go buy some Riptides too because I didn't have a good Riptide. In fact, I deleted my old Riptide because I was like so frustrated with PvP. I didn't feel like I deserved to hold a PvP weapon, right? I didn't want that. But yeah, so I've literally been spending all my Crucible engrams during Iron Banner week on Riptides to try and get auto-loading holster and chill clip, and after about like 20 Riptides, I got a compulsive reloader chill clip, and that's the only one that I've kept and I enhanced, and now Bungie said they're just going to give it to everybody for free. So, whatever. Hunter Artifice Armor, high stat roll. So, okay, so they're just adding some Artifice Armor in there. Chatter White Shader. Okay, I think I heard about this. So there's like a super white shader, right? Like how we have the super black shader. Now there's going to be like a super white shader. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But I just heard that we're going to be getting something like that. Sounds like that's going to be the case. Festival of the Lost, don't care. I'm just going to keep scrolling here and see if there's anything worth my time, or if I can just actually put these builds together so that I can, if not get into Vesper's host today, next stream, I will. But let me scroll through here real quick. Game to Give, Festival of the Lost. Looks like the winner of the armor sets for Festival of the Lost, if you care, is the Titan with the hockey mask, right? The Hunter with the flowers and the wedding dress. And the Warlock with the suit and the tentacles. So I mean, looks like that's what I would have picked if I would have picked anything. But typically, I don't really partake in those events anyways. So I don't really buy anything from them either. Yeah, dramatic music, Hell's Fall. Okay, skimming through here. It doesn't look like there's anything else. I mean, there's known issues. I'm not going to go over any of that. Like, we went over the the new aspects, the new abilities, the balance changes for Heresy, like all the important stuff. So, alright, that's it for the TWAB then. Right, and we are how far into this live stream? I can't even tell. 1 hour, 49 minutes to read half of the TWAB. Okay, well, yeah, I'll put together my loadouts here, so... For Vesper's host, what do I need? I need dim. And I do have a weapon loadout, at least, for Vespers. So I'll just transfer that over.
I can definitely fix this.
Close all this crap. Yeah, sorry. Next time, if I had known that the TWAB was going to be that long and detailed, I would have just streamed it from my PC instead of my PlayStation. Okay, dim loadouts. All Vespers loadout. Okay, let me just apply that to my Titan real quick. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna try and run through the dungeon, do this, complete the solo, maintain my Paragon, do it with my Titan since I'm a Titan main, and I typically play better on my Titan. And I've played the dungeon a ton on my Titan already, so I already have a feel for it, and it definitely feels a lot easier. Okay, so what I need to do is maybe I'll go to orbit because it's generally a little bit faster to interact with the menu in orbit as opposed to in the tower. I'm gonna want two loadouts for Puppeteer, one loadout for Raneiks, one for Traversal, I think. Which means I need to make some space here so that I can have these four be my temporary loadouts. Or I can just use, this is my inmost Star Eaters. What do I get rid of? Well, they nerfed Sentinel Titan again anyway, right? Like, I don't think the super... probably not going to use this. And I got that armor set already saved, right? So, like, my fashion had all this Sentinel fashion going that I wanted to hold on to. But yeah, that fashion for Synthos already on Strand. Yeah, I think, like, Sentinel Shield is not broken anymore, is it? I think they fixed it. So I'm probably not really going to play that. In that case, I will temporarily move Skullfort down here. I don't know how people keep their loadouts memorized with like completely random emblems and colors. But I want that and that. And then I'll put this Prismatic loadout here. My 3 Prismatic loadouts, which, if you saw my last video, was the top 3 fully Prismatic Titan builds. That's these 3 right here. You could do this on dim too in like 2 seconds. I'm sure you could do it faster on PC probably as well. Yeah, 4 loadout slots should be good. Okay, so I guess I'll do, since I'm going to be swapping loadouts really only on Puppeteer in a time-sensitive way, right, where I need to interact with the menu fast because I might have enemies around me. It's going to be on the Puppeteer encounter because I don't plan on swapping during Raneiks, and I don't plan on swapping like during the first encounter, like in the middle of it, just for traversals. So I want my swappable loadouts that are going to be, you know, specific to an encounter. I want those up at the top because when you go like this, left on the D-pad, look where the cursor is. It's right there on this slot, right? So if I want the fastest loadout swap possible, I got to do it up here in like these two to three slots, right? So this will be my Puppeteer loadouts right here. I guess I'll go 1 and 2 for Puppeteer, 3 for Raneiks, 4 for Traversal. Okay, so Puppeteer is going to be this right here. Actually, I hadn't even changed that, so that's perfect. Overwrites. I'm going to be doing everything on stasis and arc so I can get my artifacts roughly set to that. Grenade launcher, yes, please. This other stuff doesn't really matter. I mean, I guess I can go that, and then I'm using occasionally none of these weapons. Maybe an SMG, probably none. Potentially grenade. I don't know. I'm usually using heavy-handed and hands-on, if anything, on Prismatic Titan. Rapid impacts, sure. I don't think I'm really using Dark Ether weapons. I'm definitely not. Might as well get some free mobility. I don't think I'm using Frost Armor. Trace Evidence. This is a tricky one. So like if I want to maintain my armor charge and swap loadouts to start decaying the armor charge in exchange for arc weapon surge mods or stasis for Lost Signal and Anarchy for Puppeteer, then I can't use retinal burn, right? Because that consumes armor charge, right? And that's actually screwed me up a few times in different activities. Is like when I wanted armor charge or when I thought I had it, I didn't because this darn artifact mod was consuming it to do some blinding bursts. So as long as I'm aware if I'm using it or not, because I could use it intentionally to proc arc compounding, right, for T-Crash. Oof, yeah, that's tough, because how much extra damage does arc compounding even do? Like conductive cosmic crystal is kind of free and easy on Puppeteer, because all I have to do is throw a glacial grenade, right? Or I could use chill clip on Tenacious, and then I automatically get conductive cosmic crystal procced for more T-Crash damage, right? So you can double dip into these artifact mods. You can get the blinding burst, and you can get conductive cosmic so you can do the stasis debuff, and you could do the blind debuff, and then your T-Crash is doing like nutty damage. Right, that's what I did on Galron in my last video on the 3 top Titan builds for Eternal Warrior and Star Eaters. I demonstrated soloing Galron. I was using Tenacious Mastery with Exderis and the Summum Bonum Arc Sword, and so I was able to use both of these, shoot Tenacious with Chill Clip to get the slow, right, and then shoot Exderis to get the blind, right? It's not super consistent because I think it has to be like consistent hits, or it has to be a kill on an ad to get the moth to spawn. But you can use Exderis to spawn moths to blind enemies, right? And then you could T-Crash a chilled, blinded boss to do massive T-Crash damage. I don't think that's going to be really practical to do though with Puppeteer, because I want to use Anarchy, because I don't want to kill myself with a heavy grenade launcher like Bittersweet or Chill Inhibitor. I just think for the Solo Flawless, it's not really a good idea. I'd rather use Anarchy, because I can use it like anywhere. I can use it at my feet, not kill myself, right? So how else would I blind the boss? I don't think it's really practical. Don't really need to get armor charge rapid final blows. I mean, technically I am consuming armor charge for arc weapon surges for Puppeteer, and it will decay very fast because the damage phase is like almost 2 minutes long. So maybe I'm gonna have arc boost for like 20 seconds unless I pick up orbs of power. But this could be an extra way to get armor charge during damage phase, potentially rapid final blows while surrounded. So I mean, that's kind of, I don't know if I'll be getting rapid final blows per se. I'll be killing puppets pretty fast with consecration when I'm transcendent, but I don't know if it's going to qualify as rapid final blows, so that might not be worth it. Picking up special or heavy ammo can as well. So I mean, that again, that's like just as situational as in the thick of it. Emergency flare, no, I'm not replacing concussive or arc resist with emergency reinforcement on my chest plate. Not a good idea, and it's going to consume armor charge. No, I don't need that. Occasionally I could get Devour, but stay frost armor. I don't like, the only encounter where I could play into frost armor is Raneiks, because I'm going to be using glacial quake, so if I use fast to purpose I can get frost armor. I have to check the loadout there, but I think I'm just going to stay away from the frost armor artifact mods. I'm going to use Hail the Storm though, because I am going to be using glacial grenade in every encounter, and Hail the Storm or glacial quake on Raneiks. Throw my glacial grenade at the Puppeteer, so that's always going to be beneficial. Concussive reload is a no-brainer. That I must have that. Curative orbs, yes, this is a new one that I haven't used any of these bottom two rows on Vesper's host because I haven't been in there since. So curative orbs could be a pretty good lifesaver potentially. So definitely use that if I can. Finishers, can't do finishers on the puppets. Could be beneficial during Raneiks, right? When I go to dunk the operator buff before damage phase, that is only like that's the only, what is the word that I'm looking for? That is the only point in that encounter where I feel like I'm vulnerable. Yes, vulnerable. When I'm sitting there doing the animation to dunk the operator buff, right? With all the enemies shooting at me. So if I do a finisher and then dunk, that could be good, right? Especially if it's kind of free, but it's not. I only got two. I got two left to pick from. Can I get rid of that and switch to that? No, I can't. You have to have two here, I think. Yeah, can't get rid of that. Okay. So that leaves me one, and I'm not doing that because I'm going to make Anarchy. Wait, oh, I have three. Okay. Conductive Cosmic Crystal. Yep, that's free. It's easy. Slow the boss. Do big damage with T-Crash. Super easy. Automatic. Immediate effect. Unlike Arc Compounding, because Blind is complicated to acquire when you're using something that is not like Queensbreaker or Exterius or a flashbang grenade. So I'm gonna go kinetic impacts, right? That way Anarchy is doing kinetic tremors and T-Crash doing big damage, and that should, oh right, I wanted to use curative orbs. So I could get rid of Devour. Like this procs, so I feel like this doesn't really proc often. I never really pay attention to it, but just getting right, because if you're killing weakened enemies with Lost Signal, you can get Devour that way, and then you can potentially get going on a Devour chain and kill stuff. But I feel like that doesn't really happen unless you're on like Warlock actually using Devour. So I'd rather just have orbs that are better, right? Because I know I'm going to be making orbs no matter what. I can intentionally go pick up an orb and get an immediate effect, whereas like Power from Pain is kind of random. So yeah, that's going to be That's Devour. That's armor charge related stuff. Yeah, that's going to be the artifact that I use. I might, if I end up using an SMG, which I don't think I do. I think I just use Brigand's Law, Risk Runner. Oh, duh, Risk Runner. I don't use the grenade mods. I use heavy-handed on Prismatic Titan, so I'll just do that. That way, if I use Risk Runner, I get overload, reduced enemy damage output. Pretty good. Okay, so that's it. So the artifact mod is not going to change unless I decide to switch in Facet of Purpose for Raneiks. But yeah, so this is going to be my damage loadout for Puppeteer. Double check everything and then save it. Yeah. 2 stacks of Arc Weapon Surge, right? It'd be nice to have 3, but 2 will be 18% extra damage to Anarchy, right? If I wanted to, I can go 10% to Anarchy and I can go 10% to Lost Signal, but I feel like Anarchy does quite a lot more damage. I don't really think it's worth it to give Lost Signal extra damage. I'll just use Lost Signal for Transcendent spam and for debuffing the boss. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it. I think the extra 8% on Anarchy goes much further than a 10% on Lost Signal. Time dilation. So yeah, if I go in there with full armor charge, then I'll have 45 seconds, right? 3 stacks of armor charge, 15 seconds each. So I'll have 45 seconds to do good Anarchy damage. Then I need to start picking up orbs. Recuperation to keep me alive. Heavy-handed, so when I'm consecrating the puppets or the clones or whatever you call them, I'll get some orbs here and there, which will heal me. Heavy-handed, so when I kill those clones, I potentially get 3 T-crashes in 1 damage phase. I have done it, even in a fire team, I've actually managed to get 2 T-crashes off before having to take the nuke to the nuke room during damage. So yeah, I'll definitely run hands-on. And then Font of Wisdom, I don't really feel like... I just slotted Font of Wisdom in here for an extra 30 intellect, right? So that brings me up to 80 intellect. I think I got to change this armor set too. Oh no, because this is Curious, not Prismatic. Because I know on my cloak I can have triple 100s and triple 30s. Like I can have very good stats on my Stoicism builds. But this is Curious, so yeah, I'd have to check dim. I'll probably just keep it like this. Just generally good stats all around, but focused on resilience and discipline. Honestly, going 100 strength, yeah, I feel like taking the strength up a few notches might be beneficial during damage phase. But I'll probably only get it up to like tier 7 anyway, so it's probably not worth it. I'm spending like a good amount of the time Transcendent spamming Consecration, so it's not that big of a deal. And even though I could sacrifice like 2 tiers in mobility, I could sacrifice a tier in recovery, and switch that over to strength, I don't think it's really worth it, because I even having good mobility is good on Puppeteer when you're doing the damage phase the way that I intend to do it, which is to run around all over the place, platform to platform, consecrate the puppets, T-crash the boss. Mobility is going to be pretty valuable, even if it's marginally beneficial, and even not being on a hunter. Like I still like that jump acceleration, the movement speed that you get from mobility. Harmonic loader, harmonic dexterity, that's all good. I don't have enough energy to switch this to stasis, so I'll just have, I'm just going to be I can have quick access sling on Lost Signal anyways. And I will switch this to Unrelenting. Right, I've got 2 of these Lost Signals. Obviously, Vorpal's going to be better on the boss, but like I said, this is mainly just for building up Transcendent energy and for debuffing the boss, for applying Weaken. I don't need it to do, I don't need the weapon itself to do a lot of damage. I just need it to give me more access to damage in other ways. So Unrelenting can potentially get me some... I mean, pre-damage phase, Unrelenting is good because it can heal me, and it can also heal me during damage phase by getting some random kills on clones every now and then. It can happen. And then I'm gonna run Brigand's Law. Have we had any new weapons? No, Brigand's Law is really nice because, yeah. So I think this is all good for Puppeteer, right? And then I obviously need to make sure that whatever I run pre-damage has to match everything here. I think I'm just gonna keep all this the same. Do I need Facet of Balance? Yeah, that's more Consecration. I'm just thinking aloud if I should slot in Facet of Purpose or not. Nah, because I get amplified just by consecrating anyways, right? So I mean, Anarchy can kill the clones, Knockout is going to kill the clones with Consecration guaranteed. Getting amplified is not going to be a problem. Amplified is just really good during damage phase because you can kind of outrun stuff, right? It's a very mobile boss fight, the way I intend to do it. Radiant for more weapon damage, no brainer. Facet of Courage for T-Crash, right? So that's going to stack with Conductive Cosmic Crystal. Ruin for my Glacial Grenade damage, and for Consecration AoE, and for Glacial Quake for Raneiks. But yeah, so that's going to stay like that. I'm not going to mess with my stats. So yeah, we'll call that good there. And then pre-damage phase, I'm going to run I'll run Assassin Scars, and then I'm going to swap my class item when I go to Nuke Room for Inmost Loopy. So yeah, let's put Assassin Scars here. And then what I need to do is, as opposed to just checking all my abilities, I'm going to switch this over to Void, save it, right? And then I go back to Curus, and then I go back to Assassin Scars, and then I switch back to Prismatic, and it's going to have all of the Prismatic abilities and fragments in the exact same order as Curus, because that was the last Prismatic build I was on. A little trick if you didn't know. Yeah, okay, same weapons. Now I need to modify my mods so that I can stack armor charge. I guess I'll just do it piece by piece. Heavy ammo finder for Anarchy. Lost Signal, give me orbs. Brigand's Law, give me orbs. Yep, I don't need to build up super energy when I'm pre-damaged because that's just going to happen no matter what. Heavy-handed, yes. Harmonic Loader, sure. Harmonic Dexterity, sure. Right, because I'm on T-Crash here, so with Assassin Scars, it means Brigand's Law is just going to be constantly give me Restoration, and then even Lost Signal with Unrelenting is going to heal me. Right, so this is my invincible build. So yeah, that's all good there, and then I'm going to go double arc, or solar's kind of beneficial as well for Puppeteer. I think even during damage phase it is, but I'll go concussive arc solar. How about pre-damage phase? I have it on double arc. Actually, I gotta double check that. Yeah, so for damage phase I've got concussive and double arc. I think that's okay. I think that's good. Could potentially switch out an arc for solar, but I've tested it before. I think double arc is a little bit better. I do need 100 resilience though, so what can I afford to lose? Yeah, I don't need much mobility pre-damage phase. But I don't have room there. Do I have room here? I don't need surges pre-damage phase, absolutely not, because I need to stack the stuff. Harmonic for Anarchy, and sure, Stasis for Lost Signal. Or I can go, wait, because I'm not really going to be picking up orbs during in the nuke room area, right? I'm gonna be relying on Inmost Loopy to heal me. Yeah, otherwise I would use Better Already, but I think I'll just stack up. Yeah, I'll do that, and then I can fit Resilience, so I could stack up my ammo a little bit faster, pre-damage phase, and then I can go over here and swap this for 100 Resilience, or sorry, Discipline. Now I've got double 100s. No time dilation. I'll just go Reaper. I would have liked to use Reaper during damage phase too, but time dilation is a little bit more valuable, I think. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. That's kind of it. Oh, I already had Reaper here, but I need special finisher, I guess. As opposed to running around looking for bricks everywhere, I'll just do a finisher and get full that way. Now I can do... well, it's too bad Consecration and Frenzy Blade doesn't proc in most, because then 100 or a higher strength stat would be more valuable, but I could go strength, or I can go... Can I even get triple 100s? Like, don't get me wrong, triple 100s overrated. It doesn't matter. Mobility? I don't know. The extra mobility could be good in the nuke room to evade the radiation. Okay. There we go. So, pre-damage phase, Assassin Scars. Damage, Curus, right? I'm stowing Armor Charge with this build, and then I'm using Armor Charge with this build. And then also on this build, it's going to have... I'm going to be swapping... As opposed to swapping loadouts, I'm just going to swap class item. So I start with Assassin Scars for the upper room, and then when I go down to nuke room, and I have to start dealing with radiation and no enemies to kill in the nuke room, and I'm being shot at all over the place, I can spam my abilities, my barricade, or whatever, and I can spam my glacial grenade for protection, right, to act as a barricade, to proc in most, to give me more thruster dodges, so that I can heal without having to pick up orbs of power or proc knockout, because there's no enemies to proc knockout on in the nuke room, right? So upper room, Assassin Scars, invincible. Lower room, nuke room, inmost loopy, as close to invincible as I can be. And then I got to make sure this is all cohesive here. Reduce all ability cooldowns when using it. That would actually probably be better, because I'm not going to be doing finishers down there, right? Powerful attraction could always be a lifesaver, though. But yeah, I think I'm just going to go... Damn, even kickstart wouldn't be a bad idea, but it doesn't really give you much. I'll do that. As opposed... yeah, I'll save the special finishers for upstairs. Oh, but I need a function to store armor charge, because if I don't have anything for armor charge, then I lose everything. It's okay. I'm gonna get thruster dodges back every few seconds with Inmost Light. Yeah. Okay. So that Assassin Scars matches Inmost Loopy, perfect. So I can swap freely between those two on this build. But I'm always going to be starting with Assassin, so that's going to be the one that I save right here. Okay, Raneiks. Raneiks is going to be a version of Star Eaters. My Star Eaters build is here, so I'll carry that over here, because I want to look like that. And then I'm going to go on to Glacial Quake, and then... don't need free reloads, because I'm literally... I could shoot a parasite shot, but I can't. I think I've just run Risk Runner. What's the other thing that I use? I mean, Facet of Courage for, sure, Consecration damage, but it's not helping my super, unlike T-Crash. Ruin, yeah. Well, obviously, duh, can't go without Ruin, especially if you're using Glacial Quake. That's the whole purpose, right? Increase Glacial Quake damage. And instead of Eternal Star Eater, though, I'm going to be running Inmost Star Eater or Assassin Star Eater. Which one? If anybody's watching, what do you think's better for Raneiks? Assassin Star Eater or Inmost Star Eater? Okay, loadout 3 is Raneiks. Or I could just go Synthos, right? Then I just do big consecration damage and also big super damage. It's unfortunate that Spirit of Synthos doesn't do anything for Glacial Quake, unlike the core exotic. But it is what it is. Weapons I'm going to be using. We need a debuff. And yeah, source of healing. How about add clear and healing? And then yeah, literally just rely on Glacial Quake. I mean, it would be kind of nice to shoot out a parasite shot first and then Glacial Quake, because I think you have time to do that for more damage. But I'm expecting to basically solo 3-phase Raneiks anyways. I know you can solo 2-phase fairly easily, but yeah, I'd rather have Risk Runner for DR, especially with all the shanks. That upper part in Risk Runner goes burr, and then Dimensional again, just like Forbearance on steroids with Soul Drinker on steroids and Unrelenting on steroids, because you never have to reload it. You just spam this thing, it chain kills everything and heals you. So considering I'm not using anything else to heal other than knockout and recuperation, I think that's a good play. So I just need to get Inmost and Loopy over here. Just gonna look on Dim. Stoicism. Titan. I have 60 Stoicisms on my Titan now, apparently. How many dupes? I don't think I have any dupes. Okay. Inmost Star Eater. There it is. I basically have everything that I need on Titan. Like, there's nothing that I'm even interested in getting that I don't have. Spirit of Inmost, Spirit of Star Eater. One thing I wonder, Inmost Armamentarium with that unbreakable aspect, I wonder if that'd be good in the nuke room. Well, the answer is no, because then you'd have to give up knockout or consecration. Which means if you do that, then you're dead during damage phase pretty much. At least with the way I'm planning on doing it. Anyways. Transfer Inmost Star Eater. I do like this. I do like just plain old Synthos, but I kind of like the idea of having Inmost for more ability spam. Because Raneiks is pretty intense, like pre-damage. I find, like, I think it's even, well, I don't know, I guess it's on the same scale as Puppeteer, but yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I don't need any surges, I don't need any ammo, all I need is Feast of Light times 6, so I just need orbs, and I need to change the color of this so that it matches. I have ciphers to spend. If I'm going to use this as solo dungeon attempt, then I'm going to spend a cipher on it. That's how it be. Special finisher, yeah, good. Auto loading is kind of nice on dimensional, especially since I don't need anything else other than recuperation. I mean, I could run harmonic scav just for more dimension. I could really spam dimensional a lot potentially, so I could do that. What else? Recuperation. I guess better already, right? Just for more healing. Yeah. So Raneiks spams you with Void, right? But you're also dealing with Arc, and I think you're dealing with all three. Maybe I'll just keep it like that. Intellect. I don't need intellect. I'm pretty sure I build my super up solo automatically very fast. Yeah. I mean, well, I could have triple 100s here. I should probably do that. So why am I not getting triple 100s? Resilience, discipline, strength, mobility. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, but I still don't. I think I need. It's because I need to get rid of Radiant or something like that. I'm not gonna do that. Again, I'm only contemplating the triple 100s because I know that this armor set gives me access to it. It's just it's a dumb thing to build into. Like, this is the last priority. I'm just OCD. Like, if I know I can, especially when it's 90 strength, like, it's so close. Like, if I had one thing of recovery to sacrifice to bring that down to tier 4 and bring that to tier 10, I would 100% do it. I would waste 20 minutes trying to figure it out. But I don't think it's possible unless I have a different fragment set, and I'm, again, not going to do that. Okay, so we need Arc and Harmonic, so Dimensional and Risk Runner and Lost Signal all give me Orbs of Power. Heavy Ammo is always good. I'd rather have Risk Runner reloading faster, because when Arc Conductor is not proc, that thing is horrible to reload. And then, oh, actually, that's kind of nice. I totally forgot that I'm using that artifact mod with the 1 energy cost for heavy-handed. The only thing is, those artifact mods that reduce the cost of like heavy-handed and firepower, they always like glitch out your armor sets. So then when you go swapping loadouts, it doesn't transfer the ornaments over. I don't know if anybody's noticed that, but it annoys me to great depths. Causing damage with a grenade reduces your melee. I mean, like, I know double firepower or heavy-handed means you can get orbs instead of every 10 seconds, you can get them like every 5 seconds, and if you have 3, you can get them literally every second, so on every kill, but I don't feel like it's necessary. Is there anything else that I'd rather have here for 1 energy? I mean, I don't need armor charge, but kickstarts are just so, like, they just don't really do a whole lot. Yeah, I don't know. Is there a resilience that I can carry over there and trade it for that strength? There's down there, but it makes no difference. I mean, I guess I'll just go with this. Yeah, I'll get orbs every 5 seconds when I'm consecrating. It's fine. If it glitches out my armor set, though, and doesn't carry my ornaments over, I'm probably going to take that off because it's going to piss me off. That's good. That's good. Like, I'd rather have Arc Dexterity or Stasis Dexterity. Can I do that for 1 energy? No, it costs 2 energy. I mean, I could get rid of some strength. Nah. No, I think that's all good. So, okay, saved. Raneiks, done. 1 single loadout, no swaps. Just use Dimensional to heal, use Lost Signal to heal, use Risk Runner to stay alive, use Knockout Consecration to stay alive, build up Feast of Light, super shatter that boss to death with Hail the Storm. Pop a tonic. I should probably craft some tonics too, because I'm going to need the Hail the Storm tonic for Raneiks, and I'm going to need what for the other dude? Conductive Cosmic, probably, or Concussive Reload, I don't know. Because it is really annoying to have to... Oh, yeah, it's super annoying to have to reload Anarchy during Puppeteer. In fact, it might even be worth giving up 8% Anarchy damage via one of the Surge mods and replacing that with Arc Autoloading Holster. Might want to do that. Okay, but yeah, Raneiks is good. But yeah, Puppeteer, the skin is not doing it. Just go super black. Right, so do I give up 8% damage? Because I mean, when you think about the time lost, unless I use the tonic, right? If there's that tonic where grenade launchers auto-load your weapons, but you do have to pop the tonic, and is that better than popping the tonic to get more damage from supers? So yeah, I'll play it by ear. I might switch this out. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll just do that. Like, I don't want to be caught reloading. Being caught reloading during damage phase can result in like a death. So I'll just go with Arc Holster. Okay. Now all I need is Traversal. Right, so I'll just use the same Assassin Scars build for Traversal down here. Well, and technically the Briggs encounter as well. Yeah, do I need 5 loadouts, or do I just reuse one of these? I feel like Inmo Synthos might be the play for Briggs. I mean, I do have Inmo Synthos right here, literally right here. With what? I forgot what I use for Briggs. Well, either way, I'll put together the Traversal loadout real quick. So that's just going to be Slammer with Eager Edge Cold Steel. I may as well just keep Risk Runner on and go Tenacious. I don't really need like... there's nothing I need a Weaken for, I think. And then the question is, do I keep on T-Crash? T-Crash could save me if I fall during Traversal, whereas Glacial Quake can't. I could... I can't really think of another exotic that I'd rather use, though. Thing is, for Traversal, if I'm going to be using Assassin Scars, like I'm mainly going to be using Tenacious, which isn't going to heal me, but it's going to kill stuff easily. I am tempted to try, like, I want to try Deconstruct on the clones and the puppets. I'm curious to see if it works. But yeah, maybe, I mean, I could go Indebted Kindness. That would be super easy healing. And then what? Alethanum or something? Actually, that could be... Yeah, let's do that. So, Indebted Kindness for Ad Clear, for healing, for Scars. And then Alethanum, I can build up some ammo if I need. I can do the little jump thing. So that's pretty good Traversal loadout, I would say. Okay, so we'll save that there. Is there anything that I would want to change from Puppeteer pre-damage loadout to my Traversal loadout? Let's see, Assassin Scars. Yeah, I'm still using Arc and Stasis weapons. Concussive Arc Solar still sounds good. Probably double Arc, because I think the lightning zaps and the Traversal before the boss, the final boss, I think it's all Arc. I don't know. I'll just do that to be safe. And then, yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, just a functional Traversal loadout. Done. Okay, so now it's literally just the Briggs loadout that I need. I kind of want to use a sword there too because you're on a timer. Well, I guess you can't use the sword when you're carrying the nuke, can you? And a grenade launcher would be a good safe option to use on the brigs from a distance, or you can just use consecration. And then I feel like T-Crash is probably the play. I mean, maybe I just use the Traversal loadout and I just switch out Slammer for Bittersweet, or what else is good on the brigs? I mean, I did a video on testing damage versus brigs. I should know this. I mean, I could go Anarchy with something else here. A debuff would be good. Debuff and... yeah. A Roman Super could be decent as well, but... I could go double special. Actually, I need a way to shoot the damn things, right? To shoot the panels, so primary is pretty good there. Yeah, I could spam a lot of Risk Runner for heals and then just supplement with Consecration. In that case, maybe Inmost Scars would be even better. I mean, even Inmost Loopy would be good. I could technically... I think I could thruster dodge while I'm carrying the nuke. It might drop the nuke, but... And then... for the boss... well, I mean, I could just use Chill Inhibitor. Chill Inhibitor is a pretty fast kill. I've also got... I haven't updated this loadout, but store that. Let's see if I have. One of my other characters has Chill Inhibitor. I've got a Spike, Envious Arsenal, Bait and Switch, Hard Launch, right? So not the one from Banshee with Confined Launch. I actually got a better roll than that. Much, much better. Way better. In other words, like, zero difference, but I could say I just didn't get... it wasn't given to me for free. I had to work for it. Inventory... who has it? Man, I feel like Pyroelectric Propellant would also be really good instead of Risk Runner for Raneiks. Okay, so there's that thing. Alright, I could just do that. But then again, if I'm on T-Crash, I mean, like, Bittersweet could be clutch. And I just stored it instead of equipping it. Chill Inhibitor definitely kills a little bit faster, but... and I know I know I could also go Deconstruct on something, but... Envious, Bait and Switch. Oh, that's right. I tested Tanasha's with Deconstruct and Chill Clip, and it does absolutely insane damage on the brigs. If I do that, then I can use Exderis, but then I have no way to shoot the panels accurately. Right, so it's either I can use a better weapon for taking brigs out, like Tanasha's with Deconstruct, or I can just apply a 15% weaken and smash the boss with T-Crash or a grenade launcher. It'll be fine, right? It's not really even a boss encounter. So I think I'm just gonna do that, right? So I could still proc I could still proc scars. I can kill the little mini fallen bosses on the way to each room with this if I need to and still heal. Risk Runner is going to heal me. Lost Signal can heal me with Unrelenting, even if it doesn't match my super. And then it is identical essentially to my Traversal loadout. I mean, if nothing changes, then wait, I'll just I'll overwrite my original Assassin Scars. Is there any difference between these two? None. I don't think there's any difference, right? So these are my 4 loadouts. I use my Traversal loadout from the start. As soon as I get right, where am I at in the video here, or in the live stream? I'm sorry, guys. I'm not gonna have time to even step into the dungeon really, but I did the TWAB, which took like an hour and a half or whatever, something ridiculous because of all the changes, and then I've spent the rest of this time creating my loadouts to go and do my solo Vespers attempts. So I just finished doing that. I've got 4 loadouts ready to go. So I'm gonna explain that now. Right. So Traversal loadout. Assassin Scars. You know, I got to keep up with the pros, right? I need the micro missile jump thing that even if I'm never going to use it. But mainly I just want to use Indebted Kindness with Assassin Scars because I'm running T-Crash. I'm running T-Crash throughout the entire dungeon except for on Raneiks. So Traversal, shoot stuff with Indebted Kindness, heal. Right? It's like one-shotting enemies, which means I'm constantly going to have restoration. Swipe myself around with Eager Edge, obviously, right? And then when I get to the Briggs encounter, the first encounter, I just switch out Slammer for Bittersweet. And I switch out... Oh, I switched these two, that's true. I go Lost Signal. Oh, actually, I could just... No, because then I can't shoot the panels. So I got to do... I'll just do Risk Runner and Lost Signal, right? Debuff the Briggs, shoot the panels, arc resistance, why not? Nuke the Briggs, right? I could T-Crash and I can use Bittersweet, either or, right? And most Synthos would be very, very good. It's just Assassin Scars is like solo flawless material for me. So I'm just going to do that, right? So 1 loadout covers the beginning Traversal up to Briggs. I just switch 2 weapons. That's it. Briggs is done. I go back to Traversal. I'll have to pick up a special brick, but I can make my own bricks with Alethanum or with finishers. Then I get to Raneiks, right? And Raneiks, I switch this loadout here. Just 1 loadout. That's where I've got Glacial Quake, Inmost Light, and Spirit of the Star Eater. Right, so because I'm not using weapons, I don't need Eternal Warrior, so I'm just going to go Inmost Light for neutral game, more consecration, more knockouts, more heals. Star Eater for Feast of Light ×6, Glacial Quake, which is about identical, if not greater, I think, or less. I'm not sure. It's about the same as Synthos for Glacial Quake. The only thing is you can't use Spirit of Synthos to enhance Glacial Quake. You'd have to use Synthos. So I'm just going to do this because this gives me this gives me, you know, the super damage, and it gives me Inmost. If I was using Synthos, I wouldn't have Inmost Light, right? I would have massive consecration damage, obviously, but I wouldn't have many consecration damages, or many consecrations, and I don't need massive consecration damage for pre-damage during Raneiks anyways, right? Consecration is generally enough to kill anything. So yeah, that's the Raneiks loadout there. Risk Runner just for extra DR, because why not? I'm not really focused on my weapons here. It's more about just building up my Feast of Light. Dimensional Hypotrochoid is my healing source, essentially, along with Better Already and Recuperation. But this thing is like Forbearance on steroids. It can just kill stuff very fast, heal that way, use it for ad clear, use it as often as I can. Debuff the boss, obviously, before popping my super. Debuff enemies in general with Lost Signal. So that covers Raneiks. And then I switch over to Puppeteer. So I've got pre-damage loadout for Puppeteer, which involves stacking Armor Charge via special finisher, right? I can use the Armor Charge to get ammo if I want, but I'm mainly just going to be stacking. I need a function for Armor Charge to stack it, So then when I switch to damage, I can have armor charge surges for my weapons. So this is the pre-damage loadout with Assassin Scars, again for invincibility essentially, for the upper room. Okay, and then when I go down to the lower room, to the nuke room, and have to start dealing with radiation and a lack of enemies to kill, to get knockout healing, to get recuperation healing, etc., I have no way to heal in the nuke room other than switching to this class item right here. I don't even switch loadouts. I literally just switch the class item over to Inmost Light and Alpha Loopy. That gives me the most amount of potential thruster dodge spam, and every time I use my thruster, I heal, right? So I can use my Glacial Grenade as a wall, basically a standing barricade, to not only proc Inmost, but to protect myself in the nuke room. And then that's going to proc Inmost. It's going to give me more thruster dodges. Every time I use the thruster, I get a chunk of healing. I've tested this already. It's good. It works really good. It's better than anything else that I've done really on Prismatic Titan for this setup. And then when I go into and all the meanwhile, I'm just gonna be like in the up room, focus on Brigand's Law, mixed with Lost Signal to get Transcendence energy. Brigand's Law is gonna be healing me on every kill. Threat Detector, Volt Shot, extremely good. Extremely good. Like Volt Shot is still top tier perk, especially for ad clear. Sidearms are kind of king for DPS for ad clear as far as primaries go, so that's good. Yeah, and then I go into damage phase. So right as I'm about to go up the elevator, I switch over to Curse of the Falling Star with hands-on Font of Wisdom, which I may change out for heavy ammo finder, I'll probably just keep it for more intellect, right? So I get super energy on melee kills, I get super energy from having armor charge, and then I've got arc weapon surge for 10% extra damage on anarchy with holster, so I never have to worry about reloading. I'm not sure about the tonics yet, so that could change the holster for something else if I use like the one that auto reloads on grenade launchers. Time dilation, so I can have 45 seconds of armor charge going into damage phase, right? Double arc resist, concussive, and then the whole idea here is to excuse me, use conductive cosmic crystal, hail the storm, kinetic impacts. These are like all, and concussive reload. These are all giving me damage buffs to the boss. I mean, it's just the Glacial Grenade for Hail the Storm. It's more so for Raneiks, for Hail the Storm is huge, right? I'll probably pop the tonic for Raneiks. But Conductive Cosmic for T-Crash, right? This works in tandem with Facet of Courage, so I apply the Stasis debuff via my Glacial Grenade, then I T-Crash the boss. It does more damage. Kinetic Impacts, I'm constantly going to be applying Anarchy to the boss, so I'll get some Kinetic Tremors going off with Lost Signal for the weaken. Curative Orbs, pretty nice little artifact mod there for, I guess, extra healing. I don't know, I haven't tested how that stacks with recuperation, but I imagine it just makes it even better. So I don't think there's any conflict there, so I may as well go with that. But yeah, the purpose for Puppeteer is just going to be max out the T crashes, see if I can get 3 T crashes off in one damage phase. If I can get 2 off, then I don't really care how well I perform in the damage phase. As long as I can stay alive and spam as much anarchy and lost signal as I can, if I can get 2 T crashes off, that's probably good enough for a 4 or 5 phase, right? I can potentially get 3 T crashes off. If I can do that, maybe I could do 4 phases easily. I'm not going to say 3 because I think that's probably too high of a bar for me to reach for. But I've tested this build and I can stay alive fairly well at this point. I do think there's going to be some deaths, but I'm going to probably just focus on getting the solo done first so I can maintain Paragon, and then I'll go for the solo flawless after that. If not at the same time, if I get lucky, it really depends. But yeah, that's basically it. So I'm going to hop off for this stream. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.